nonsense in the end of this segment and into the next. Take a look around you guys. Who's running the country? 57% of our leadership roles in government are this group. They control our media. They control our film industry. They control our medical boards. Our chief executives are, by and large, controlled. The stock market is controlled. The money system is controlled. There's not a single Jesuit in there, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Phelps' book is for retards. It is a book for morons. I'm sorry, but that's the truth. And somehow, many of the listeners, these ne'er-do-well listeners to the French Connection, and I urge you to turn the channel if that's who you're being identified as, please get out off my show. I mean, don't listen to this programming. I'm not here for fun. This isn't entertainment. This is not an entertainment program. This is a news program. We are in the last throes of our nation's history, and you chuckle beans are out there talking about the Black Pope. Get a grip on yourselves. Oh man, the morons! It's like putting a loaded gun in the hands of a simpleton. You want to be fighting in a war with some nitwit with a loaded gun beside you? Maybe he's a mental defective. You want that person on your side in the war? No, I would rather have him not show up for the fight, ladies and gentlemen. I would rather have that person toss his gun to the ground and leave the battlefield. Because it might be my back that gets shot because this moron doesn't know left from right or up from down. Well, this is the same kind of problem we're facing in this movement. A lot of people. Mr. Smith, you're very mean, he says to me, because you're not accepting people's inability to understand the Black Pope. The Black Pope, have you, what is your major malfunction? Have you lost taken leave of your senses? Where's your common sense? Where is that sense? It has completely lost. People have lost their ability to discern anything, and I can't imagine that we have even the smallest of chances with this kind of people as our backers. I mean, my goodness, and of course the disinfo people are out in force. We got this guy. Oh my God, what does this mean? Livergood. Oh Jesus, we've got Livergood. We got Tarpley. I mean, this guy. It's all George Bush. Everything happened is George Bush. Not a single Zionist involved. No Jews involved. Israel's not involved. Come on, guys, get a grip. Why do you think we're over there? They've even admitted why we're over there, but Mr. Tarpley can't. He says it's all George W. Bush.
When there is dissent expressed in the United States against policies of the Israeli government, people here are called anti-Semitic. What is your response to that as an Israeli Jew?
Well, it's a trick. We always use it. When from Europe somebody is criticizing Israel, then we bring up the Holocaust. When in this country people are criticizing Israel, then they are anti-Semitic. And the organization is strong and has a lot of money, and the ties between Israel and the American Jewish establishment are very strong, and they are strong in this country. As you know, they have power, which it's okay. They are talented people, and they have power, money, and media.
Economically, morally, we went to war against a guy who had absolutely nothing to do with 9/11. It was a total pretext. It's inexplicable. And there you go to Cheney, there you go to Bush, there you go to the Jewish neocons who wanted to remake the world. Maybe I can say that because I'm Jewish.
As a neocon watcher, I'm a long-standing opponent of anti-Semitism.
I was sitting in a bar on Capitol Hill, and I was told by a congressional staffer, careful how you use the word neoconservative. People might think you're being anti-Semitic. Can you just explain this for me?
I mean, it's no secret. The majority of neoconservatives have been and remain Jewish. That is a fact. They do not represent a majority of the American Jewish community.
But you think it's legitimate to talk about the pro-Israeli politics of some of the neoconservatives?
Well, I think it's very difficult to understand them if you don't begin at that point. I mean, I should think people would want to talk about that rather openly, because to the extent that you suppress it, and I think there is an attempt by some to suppress it, I think then it festers.
In 1996, a group of neocons wrote a report intended as advice for incoming Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. It called for a clean break with the peace process, rolling back Syria and removing Saddam Hussein from power, an important Israeli strategic objective in its own right. Amongst those who contributed, Richard Pearl, Douglas Feith, now number 3 at the Pentagon, David Wurmser, now in the State Department, and Merav Wurmser.
It was no more than a mental exercise done in a think tank by a group of people. Yes, many of us are Jewish. There's no need to apologize for that. Most of us, all of us, in fact, are pro-Israel. Some of us more fiercely so than others. But we have no problem also criticizing Israel.
That paper in 1996, the Clean Break paper, that was the paper that led to accusations of dual loyalty.
There is no dual loyalty.
That paper in 1996.
We have no problem also criticizing Israel.
In 1996, the Clean Break paper, that was the paper that led to accusations of dual loyalty.
There is no dual loyalty.
That paper in 1996, the Clean Break paper, that was the paper that led to accusations of dual loyalty.
There is no dual loyalty.
Simon. This is not spontaneous violence, with 1 or 2 exceptions. It is organized by the Palestinian Authority.
My next guest was used also in worshiping the devil, participated in human sacrifice rituals and cannibalism. She says her family has been involved in rituals for generations. She is currently in extensive therapy, suffers from multiple personality disorder, meaning she's blocked out many of the terrifying and painful memories of her childhood. Meet Rachel, who is also in disguise to protect her identity. You come from generations of ritualistic abuse?
Yes, my family has an extensive family tree, and they keep track of who's been involved and who hasn't been involved. And it's gone back to like 1700.
And so you were...
Right. I was born into a family that believes in this.
And does everyone else think it's a nice Jewish family? From the outside, you appear to be a nice Jewish girl.
Definitely.
And you all are worshiping the devil inside the home?
Right. There's other Jewish families across the country. It's not just my own family.
Really? And so who knows about it? Lots of people now.
I talked to a police detective in the Chicago area, and several of my friends know, and I've spoke publicly before. And
so when you were brought up in this kind of evilness, did you just think it was normal?
I've blocked out a lot of the memories I had because of my multiple personality disorder. But yes, I mean, it's like if you grow up with something, you think it's normal.
Mm-hmm.
I always thought.
So what kinds of things? You don't have to give us the gory details, but what kinds of things went on in the family?
Well, there would be rituals in which babies would be sacrificed, and you would have to,
Whose babies?
There were people who bred babies in our family, no one would know about it. A lot of people were overweight, so you couldn't tell if they were pregnant or not, or they would supposedly go away for a while and then come back. The other thing I want to point out, not all Jewish people sacrifice babies. I mean, no, it's not a very difficult thing. I just want to point that out.
This is the first time I heard of any Jewish people sacrificing babies. But anyway, so you witnessed the sacrifice.
Right. When I was very young, I was forced to participate in that, in which I had to sacrifice an infant.
And the purpose of sacrifice is to what? Is to bring you what? What are you sacrificing for?
For power.
Uh-huh. Power. And so, were you ever used? Were you ever used yourself?
I was molested. I was raped several times.
Mm-hmm. And what's your mother doing?
She's
in all of this. What's her role in all of this?
I'm not exactly what her role is. I haven't, recovered all of my memories, but her family was extremely involved.
Mm-hmm.
She brought me to it. Both of my parents brought me to it.
And where is she now?
She lives in the Chicago metropolitan area. She's on the Human Relations Commission of the town that she lives in, and she's an upstanding citizen. Nobody would suspect her.
Were you raised with a sense of right and wrong, Rachel?
Yeah. I mean, it's like I had both. I mean, to the outside world, everything we did was proper and right. And then there were the nights that things changed, that things just got turned around. What was wrong was right, and what was right was wrong.
Tonight we're learning new details about the role of Isaac Rosenbaum, the man accused of trafficking human organs. Prosecutors say Rosenbaum would buy a kidney for $10,000, then sell it for as much as $160,000. So how was the scheme carried out, and for how long? Phil Lipoff joins us live in Brooklyn. Phil?
All good questions. The sundown is fast approaching here in the Bensonhurst neighborhood of Brooklyn. And some in this neighborhood say they will be praying that Isaac Rosenbaum get to continue to do what he's doing, matching kidneys with people and saving lives. Others say they will pray that what he did will not shine a negative light on this entire community. He is just one of the dozens arrested in the corruption sweep, but what Isaac Rosenbaum is accused of kind of stands out. The FBI says he was buying and selling kidneys, making a huge profit. In the complaint against him, the feds say they sent in an undercover agent along with this man, Solomon Dweck, an informant. They told Rosenbaum they wanted to buy a kidney. He agreed, at one point saying, "I'm doing this a long time." Then warning the pair, "Let me explain to you one thing. It's illegal to buy or sell organs, so you cannot buy it. What you do is, you're giving a compensation for the time." Well, that compensation was $160,000, and he wanted half up front. When asked why so much, the agent says he responded, "One of the reasons it's so expensive is because you have to schmear all the time." The agent understood schmear to mean pay people to look the other way. Hello, hi, my name is Phil Lipoff. I'm with Channel 7. Could I just speak to you for 1 minute? At his home in Brooklyn, his wife told us through the door to go away. And most in this close-knit Orthodox community didn't want to talk to us either. But Mark Green did.
For the people that he helped, he's seen as a hero.
Green is Hasidic as well. He says many in this community knew that Rosenbaum could get a kidney if needed. Says he even met a man who did. Saved his life.
But what about the people on the top of the list who don't have the money to buy the kidney, who might have gotten the kidney first? Perhaps they died because they don't have enough money. Another way to look at it? That's another way to look at it as well.
And then there's this. Nancy Shepard Hughes is writing a book about organ trafficking worldwide. She tells us from California that she told the FBI about Rosenbaum 7 years ago.
I don't know why the police took so long. I think they thought it was an unlikely story. I think that it was hard to believe that people were being trafficked from two different countries.
Well, we've seen some of Rosenbaum's family come in and out, bringing groceries, perhaps for the Sabbath dinner. He certainly isn't coming out. There's a lot of media here, doesn't want to talk to us, but he is going to have to answer to these allegations sometime soon, and they are very serious allegations at that. We're live in the Bensonhurst section of Brooklyn. Phil Lipoff, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
Popular in poor countries in Africa, Latin America, and across.
Israeli police have broken up an organ transplant ring that persuaded dozens of Israelis to have their kidneys removed in the Ukraine. But because Israeli law doesn't explicitly forbid the trafficking of organs, police may now have to release the suspects. Paula Sleer reports for you.
In the eternal search for money, people go to different lengths to earn a quick buck. Some work overtime, others take on extra projects, while still some opt for something that doesn't involve too much effort, but guarantees a handsome $35,000 return, the rather unsavory option of selling body organs. This kind of business is very popular in poor countries, in Africa, Latin America, and across former Soviet republics, while here in Israel, police are dealing with it for the first time. And they wouldn't have become aware of it if the golden law of business had not been broken to pay for a service rendered. The case was opened when an Israeli woman filed a police complaint charging she was not paid the $35,000 she'd been promised after her kidney was removed in Ukraine. The organ transplanting ring was bust after an undercover police officer posed as a potential donor.
Были арестованы 10 человек по подозрению.
There is a dark matter still in the world today. It is something that is perhaps older than written language itself, human ritual sacrifice. And it has been something for which Jewish extremists have often been accused of throughout time. Understandably, since it's not an everyday topic, many people are highly skeptical of this bizarre accusation that has burdened the Jewish people for at least 2,000 years. After all, why would fanatical Jews in the past, and perhaps even to this very day, commit human sacrifice? Many people do not like to even think about the topic, believing it to be just pure, unadulterated, anti-Jewish propaganda. And likewise, the Jews themselves are quick to say that such claims are lies, which have been handed down through the centuries. However, there are two sides to this issue. One side believes Jewish ritual murder is not merely anti-Jewish propaganda, but a fact. One that has had a terrible impact on society since it began. Perhaps some viewers may doubt what is uncovered in this video, but an honest glimpse into this matter may make you think. Likewise, an in-depth and fair examination will make most skeptics into true believers. It is true that many of the people who conducted research into these matters were branded by Jews with the epithet of anti-Semite, a term that it seems is used by Jews to stifle discussion on any topic that criticizes them. Certainly, however, if someone who is branded an anti-Semite by Jews says the sky appears blue on a sunny day, is it any less blue just because the so-called anti-Semite said it was? This is usually the case with respect to these matters. While some people who investigated these matters were really anti-Semites, it was the fact that human sacrifice was practiced by Jews that caused many of these people to become anti-Semites. After uncovering the secret among the Jewish cult in times past, how could a Gentile feel otherwise? After all, it is not the anti-Semite who commits the foul act of human sacrifice, now commonly referred to as Jewish ritual murder, yet Jews sought to make the Gentiles who reported these crimes appear worse than the Jews who committed them. Most historians know and admit that human sacrifice has occurred in the past amongst various sects. The Aztecs' bloodstained temples attest to this. Many innocents met their fate that way, with their hearts plucked from their bodies. The practice called sati in India, where women would sacrifice themselves in flames, is still practiced today in obscure parts where some of India's 1 billion, mostly Hindus, live. In Mexico, even just a few years ago, a strange cult was uncovered that had sacrificed many people, including American college student Mark Kilroy. The same is true of Africa and various parts of South America today. If you merely comb the internet, you'll realize that, yes, there are some groups who still engage in barbaric practices such as human sacrifice. So, what are the facts about the Jews? Have they also engaged in such terrible acts in the past? And could there be some primitive sect amongst Jews, extremists no doubt, who to this very day still commit the wicked crime of ritual murder? Most Jews, if asked about ritual murder, will vehemently deny any knowledge of it, of course. And they're probably telling you the truth. If there are Jewish hate mongers who engage in these acts, and there is strong evidence to indicate such, it is probably only a small number of them. So if this is indeed the case, one question still remains. What makes these crimes stand out apart from other cruel acts committed by man against man in the past? The answer to this question is not a pretty one. Based on numerous reports from the past to modern times, the main difference is the degree of cruelty. Reports say children sacrificed in Jewish occult rites were tortured to death in the most cruel and heartless ways imaginable. After the ceremony, Jews reportedly dried the child's blood, often absorbing it into paper, for their various occult rites. Aside from claims of Jewish ritual murder being carried out in an extremely vicious manner, there's one other difference that sets this crime apart from others. When such crimes are uncovered, not only the local Jewish groups, but Jews from all over the entire world seek to conceal it. In the past, Jews have even set aside a special fund to cover up such acts. However, by doing this, they become, as the police might say, an accessory after the fact. From time to time, there have been brave and honest Jews who would deviate from their kinsfolk and admit to the truth of these crimes. While such honesty was not common amongst Jews, it still occurred on occasions. For this reason alone, a blanket indictment against all Jews cannot be made. Indeed, some Jews, young and old, have admitted these crimes in front of court, written about them in books, discussed them in debates, and so forth. For the most part, however, Jews typically deny such accusations. They have even developed a phrase for this type of accusation: blood libel. This term is often used as a rallying cry amongst Jewish groups. But let's go to the crux of the matter. When did it begin? And is there evidence to show that this has been a regular occurrence? Usually, when you think of Jews and human sacrifice, you will probably think of the incident between Abraham and Isaac in the Old Testament, where Abraham believed his God wanted him to sacrifice his son, until an angel supposedly appeared and told him otherwise. Many people erroneously believe that human sacrifice amongst Jews ended right then and there for all Jews. But just think about that for a second. Now, Abraham, here he is getting ready to sacrifice his very own son. Abraham reportedly stopped. But what about all the other Jews? Did they too? There is strong evidence to suggest otherwise. Children who were sacrificed were often burnt in a pit called a tophet. Drums were beaten in an attempt to conceal the child's cries. This practice was quite prevalent amongst Jews who lived in Carthage around 300 years before Christ and who worshipped Baal, another name for Lord. Even today, you'll hear of a Rabbi Baal. Just do a search on the internet. When losing a battle in Syracuse, nearly 500 children were tossed into a burning tophet as a sacrifice to Baal. Sometimes children were put in the arms of a bronze bull, which had a furnace below it, and those committing this vicious act then allowed the flames to consume the child. The level of cruelty in these cases knew no bounds. One thing that some may find rather odd is a key term used by Jews to describe their act of human sacrifice. They call it Holocaust. As surprising as this may seem to some, the word Holocaust is a Jewish word that was used to describe the act of putting a child into the flames as a sacrifice to their deity. Of course, Jews have assigned a completely different meaning to the term nowadays, but if you take a look at an older dictionary, you will see that we're right about this. Ancient historians such as Appian, Democritus, and Posidonius described instances of Jewish ritual murder. In 168 before Christ, Appian reported an intended victim, an adult, not a child, was found at the Jewish temple. Jewish historian Flavius Josephus disagreed with Appian's findings, which were translated and published by Thackeray in his book Josephus. Thackeray reported, Antiochus found in the temple a couch on which a man was reclining. The king's entry was instantly hailed by this man with adoration. Falling to his knees, he stretched out his right hand and implored the king to set him free. Thereupon the king reassured him and bade him tell him who he was, why he was living there, and what was the meaning of this abundant fare. In a pitiful tone and full of sighs and tears, the man told this tale of his distress. He said he was a Greek, and that while traveling about his province for his livelihood, he was suddenly kidnapped by men of a foreign race and conveyed to the temple where he was locked up. Finally, the attendants who were waiting upon him told him of the one unutterable law of the Jews, a ritual which was repeated annually at a fixed time. They would kidnap a Greek foreigner and then convey him to the forest where they would slay him, sacrificing his body with their customary ritual, eat of his flesh, and while immolating the Greek, swear an oath of hostility against the Greeks. The remains of their victims were thrown into a pit. In the first millennium of the current era, in the year 300, Bishop Eusebius of Caesarea said that Jews in all communities ritually murdered Christians during their Purim festivals. In the year 415, Socrates Scholasticus reported that Jews of Imistar bound a Gentile child on a cross and poked him till he died. In 425, Baronius reported Jews had crucified a child. In 614, the monk Antiochus Strategos reports that when Jerusalem fell to the Persians, Jews purchased one of the Gentiles who had been captured by the Persians and slew him like a sheep. In 1067, Prague, 6 Jews reportedly drained blood from a 3-year-old child. It was also discovered that these Jews had dispersed the child's blood, giving it to other Jews in Treviso. In 1096, a child by the name of Estrati was reportedly discovered having been ritually murdered in what is now known as the city of Kiev. He was later made a saint. In the year 1115, near the city of Magdeburg, Germany, on the day prior to Passover, Hasidic Jews tortured 5 children and used their blood in occult rites. The incident was investigated, and the Jews were found guilty and punished accordingly. Up until that time, many of the previous incidents had probably been forgotten. It seems likely that most historical records regarding these incidents were lost over time. In the year 1144, an incident occurred to a child in England that would make history and the Jews not easily forgotten. It had been just a little over 50 years since Jews were first permitted to enter England in 1089. A small number of them had just been brought to England in an effort to assist the king with collecting his taxes. Consequently, as the town discovered to their dismay, a child by the name of William was ritually murdered. But what made this event different was that this child was related to an educated monk, Thomas of Monmouth. This event that occurred to William, like so many before it, could have eventually sunk into obscurity. But Thomas wanted to let the whole world know about this cruel and vicious nature of these wicked acts once and for all, probably with the hope of putting a stop to them. His book was written in Latin and was later translated into English in the 19th century by Dr. A. Jessup. Thomas of Monmouth described how Jews abducted the child. Afterwards, according to Thomas, this occurred. Having shaved William's head, he wrote, They stabbed it with countless thorn points and made the blood come horribly from the wounds they made. And cruel were they, and so eager to inflict pain, it was difficult to say whether they were crueler or more ingenious in their tortures. Thomas of Monmouth described the whole sordid event in detail: the abduction, the torture suffered by the child, and the bribes Jews gave to the sheriff, and more. Thomas's efforts to document this Jewish occult rite of an innocent child eventually resulted in the child becoming a saint. And he was remembered until modern times, until the church no longer permitted such politically incorrect facts to be known. Thomas did a great service to the world in his efforts to eradicate child sacrifices by making known what had occurred on that dark, grisly day back in 1144. It put parents in England on alert, so they would know to take precautions to keep their children safe. Unfortunately, that was not the last such reported incident of Jewish ritual murder. Why would Jews continue to engage in such wicked crimes? Dr. Arnold Lees, who wrote a book about Jewish ritual murder in the early part of the 20th century in England, noted some interesting facts surrounding the ritual murders. A converted Jew called Theobald of Cambridge confessed that the Jews took blood once a year from a Christian child because they thought that only by so doing could they ever obtain their freedom and return to Palestine. And it was their custom to draw lots to decide whence the blood was to be supplied. The tragic murder that occurred to innocent William set a precedent. Because of Thomas of Monmouth's books that he wrote about the good child, others began to record these wicked deeds perpetrated by fanatical Jews. Some more of these reported victims follow. In 1243, in Kissingen, Bavaria, Jews were convicted by a court of law after having confessed to having used the blood of Gentiles for occult rites in their Jewish holiday of Passover. In the year 1255 in London, England, a young innocent Gentile by the name of Hugh was discovered to have been ritually murdered. His punctured body was found hidden on a Jew's property. After having reviewed the evidence, a court tried and convicted 18 prominent Jews of having committed the deed. The child was later canonized and became a saint. Altogether, before the Catholic Church became a bulwark for political correctness, there were over 20 children who had been ritually murdered by Jews and made into saints. In 1290 in Oxford, England, a Jew by the name of Isaac de Poulet was arrested for the ritual murder of a Gentile child. Perhaps this was the defining moment, as Jews were permanently banished from England a month later. Many of these Jews fled to Germany or other European cities. It was only after the King of England himself was murdered 4 centuries later by Lord Cromwell that Jews were allowed back there, although the edict officially remains in effect. In 1331 in Gubelin, Germany, it was said the Jews had murdered a Gentile child for occult rites. The Jews were found guilty and were punished harshly for this deed. They were burnt alive. In the year 1345 in Munich, Germany, Jews reportedly punctured a Gentile child by the name of Henry in more than 60 places, causing the innocent child to be bled dry. In Venice, Italy, in the year 1420, according to local records, Jews ritually murdered a child in a cruel fashion, and they were executed for this inhumane crime. In the year 1462, in the village of Rinn, Innsbruck, in Austria, Jews reportedly ritually murdered a child by the name of Andela on a large stone. The child became a celebrated saint. A church was built around the stone. The city even became known as Judenstein, or the Jew Stone. More recently, in 1997, Professor Robert Brandner of a theological college in Austria said this about ritual murders. He said, Jews should apologize for their deplorable crimes against Catholic children like the holy martyr child Andela von Rinn, and against adults in the days before Easter, and for the blood of murdered Christians spilt by Jewish hands, which cries to heaven too. Jews became a little perturbed when the Pope met with Professor Pantner. In the year 1475 in Trent, Italy, Jews reportedly ritually murdered a child by the name of Simon. During the process, they also circumcised the child. This has also been the reported case in many other such incidents, although we don't believe it's necessarily a requirement during the bloodletting process. This child, too, had puncture marks over his entire body. The child was later made a saint. In the book Lives of the Saints, Father Alban Butler described the child as an infant martyr and describes the event surrounding his murder thus. The Jews in the city of Trent decided to vent their hate by slaying a Christian child for the coming Passover, and Tobias, one of their number, was deputed to entrap a victim. He found a bright, smiling boy named Simon playing outside his home with no one guarding him. Tobias patted the little fellow's cheek and coaxed him to take his hand. The boy, who was not 2 years old, did so, but he began to call and cry for his mother when he found himself being led from his home. Then Tobias silenced his grief and conducted him securely to his house. At midnight on Holy Thursday, the work of butchery began. They gagged his mouth. They held his arms in the form of a cross, while they pierced his tiny body with awls and bodkins in blasphemous mockery. After an hour's torture, the little martyr lifted his eyes to heaven and gave up his innocent soul. The Jews cast his body into the river, but their crime was discovered and punished. While the holy relics were enshrined in St. Peter's Church, in 1485, another Gentile child reportedly suffered a similar fate at Moristica. Pope Benedict XIV canonized the child, who became known as Saint Lorenzino, and mentioned the child as a martyr in his bull Beatus Andreas. The Episcopal Court of Padua, Italy, attested to the authenticity of this incident. Despite small differences, it is interesting to note that many other religious leaders have acknowledged these facts with respect to Jewish child murders. Cardinal Ganganelli, who later became a pope, once wrote, "I admit as true the fact of the Blessed Simon, a boy 3 years old, killed by the Jews of Trent. I also admit as the truth another fact, which happened in the year 1462 in the village of Rin, in the person of the Blessed Andela, a boy barbarously murdered by Jews." The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther, founder of the Lutheran Church, briefly described his thoughts on this matter in his thesis, The Jews and Their Lies. In history, he says, therefore, they are often accused of poisoning wells, stealing children and mutilating them as in Trent, Weitzensee, etc. Of course they deny this, be it so or not. However, I know completely well the full, ready will is not lacking with them if they could only transform it into deeds in secret or openly. Know this for a certainty and act accordingly. In 1492, LaGuardia, Spain, a child by the name of Christopher was said to have been ritually murdered by Jews. Shortly thereafter, Queen Isabella of Spain issued an edict that banished Jews from Spain forever. And it was not until approximately 1967 the Jews were officially allowed back. There were many reasons cited for the Jews' banishment, such as overall wickedness, but one reason was particularly interesting. It was called a serious and detestable crime. Well-respected historian William Walsh argues in his book, Isabella of Spain, that this crime was that of the ritual murder of Christopher, who later was made a saint. In 1502 in Prague, a Jew was found guilty of having murdered a Gentile child in an effort to extract the child's blood. In 1574, Lithuania, in the village of Puna, the Jews reportedly tortured and then murdered a baby for occult rites. In 1598, in Lublin, in Kol, and Kutnia, Poland, it was reported that Jews tortured 3 babies in those 3 cities. When the incident came to court, all Jews who were involved in the matter were discovered guilty. According to the book by the Russian writer Dr. Vladimir Dal, Notes about the Ritual Murders, he says, "It is difficult to determine how many Jewish occult murders reportedly occurred in history. Montague Summers, a well-respected historian, describes some of his findings in his book, The History of Witchcraft and Demonology. Closely connected with these ancient sorceries are those ritual murders of which a learned Premonstratensian canon of Wilthin, Adrian Kemberer, writing in 1745, was able to enumerate no less than 250. The latest of these having taken place in 1650, when at Kadan in Bohemia, Matthias, a lad of 4 years old, was killed by certain rabbis with several wounds. In many cases, the evidence is quite conclusive that the body, and especially the blood of the victim, was used for magical purposes. In 1663, Krakow in Poland, Rabbi Mattatya Kalahora was believed to have murdered a Gentile child for his Jewish occult rites. He was tried, convicted, and executed for the crime. In 1669, near Metz in France, writes Dr. Dahl, the Jew Levi kidnapped a baby, which was later found dead in the forest. The guilty man was put to death. The details of this case were described in a small French book, Abrège du procès fait aux Juifs de Metz, a summary of the trial against the Jews of Metz in 1670. In 1619, Belarus, Jews reportedly murdered a young child by the name of Gavril in a ritualistic fashion. In 1997, Belarusian television made a documentary about this child's murder. Only 23 years prior to America declaring its independence from England, Dr. Dahl describes an incident in 1753, Zhytomyr. He promulgated on Friday, the April the 20th, 1753, in the village of Markova Volnitsa, Jews caught 3-year-old Stefan Studitsky and carried him away. On Sunday, the Jews gathered in a house, blindfolded the child, closed his mouth with pincers, and then, while holding the child in a tub, pricked him from all sides with sharp nails, moving him around in an effort to extract as much blood as possible. After the child had died, the corpse was carried to a forest, where the dead child was found the next day. By obvious evidence, the Jewesses Breiner and Frutza, without torment, confessed to having been involved in this killing, and their husbands were exposed by them, and also, without a torment, confessed. Then other men were implicated and forced to undergo torture. These others confessed and made such a detailed description of this crime that no doubt could remain as to their guilt. The Jews who were involved were then executed. A picture of the child's corpse was drawn, which showed how it was found pricked over the entire body. This picture was kept safe with the Archbishop of Lvov. In 1791, in Tasnad, Hungary, Jews were again accused of ritually murdering a Gentile boy. In this particular case, one of the Jews' children admitted to having seen the entire sordid event. In 1797, in Galați, Romania, a child was allegedly ritually murdered by Jews. In the 19th century, explorer and linguist Sir Richard Francis Burton wrote a manuscript called Human Sacrifice Amongst the Sephardim, or Eastern Jews. Some Jews were somehow able to obtain his manuscript, which is held by the Jewish Board of Deputies in England, but not before part of this manuscript was published as the book, The Jew, the Gypsy, and El Islam. In this book, Burton noted, 1825, the Jews of Beirut made away with Fathallah Sayegh, an Alpine
men are these are the bathhouses where that's going on, and these sex with young now he is basically breaking his silence about the child abuse, sex with young boys, and all sorts of stuff that's going on in these bathhouses that exist. These are the bathhouses where Jews go. Women are Orthodox women are supposed to go after having their period. Both men and women go after, for example, for Yom Kippur, to rid yourself of sins. And there's child abuse going on there. There is child sex abuse. It needs to be stopped. These communities, in particular, this one in Brooklyn, is relatively insular, and it can be difficult for outside enforcement of the law to happen in an unobstructed way. This guy, this particular rabbi, has had bleach thrown at him on the street because he is blowing the whistle. And it really got me to thinking, Louis, what is common amongst extreme religious beliefs across Islam, Christianity, and Judaism that
had the mic muted, but I threw the link up in the chat if anybody wants to hop on. Yeah, I didn't show that whole blood libel video, but that's a one. It's kind of a must see. I stopped it around 20 minutes, so anybody wants to go back and watch that, I'll throw everything up in the description after the video. You guys can have all these links. I'm gonna leave this up here if anybody wants to hop on, discuss. Kind of disgusting, but I think it's pertinent information that we should all know, man. This history is like all of our history. It's kept from us, and I think it's important. So ties into Satanism and everything else. Yeah, so I'll start breaking down why I picked those videos. F Zion 2, FZION number 2. His first channel got shut down, but just like Big Baby Jesus, that guy's putting out lots of content every day. So check out some of his interviews because they're all exposing this stuff. He has great people that come on, great interviews he's found and stuff. Yeah, I mean, the guy in the beginning, he talks about, how it's just a fucking waste of time to point at the Jesuits, to point at the Masons, the Black Pope, all this cad bullshit, where people just misleading us, when we know who's at the top and who controls all these, mechanisms in place, these Shabbos Goy that have been perverted and lost to this Semitic, satanic fucking cult. And then you hear the former Prime Minister Shulamit Aloni talking about how it's a trick that they use. They use it all the time in America. They don't have to use the hollow hoax in America because America got duped into going over there and mass murdering a bunch of Germans. So they let us off the hook for that thought crime. But they still dupe us, just like the blood libel thing. It's the same triggering word that they brainwash you into having a reaction to the whole culture. And then that guy on CNN talking about how, all these war hawks, around 9/11 were fucking Jews, man. And then they go to another Israeli that was involved with all those neocon Jews, and she says that there is no dual loyalty. She made it very clear. I don't think she was mincing her words with that statement. So, yeah. And then I just went to like a 1997 expose of, a mild video of IDF just taking advantage of these people and just treating them like animals. Then we busted over to the Oprah show, the Jewish woman confessing about human sacrifice. And Oprah tried to make the point that, oh, this is just very rare. I've never heard of it in a Jewish family, especially for Jews. But I think by now we can agree that it's nothing new for them. It's not. So, yeah. And the organ trafficking, organ harvesting, they're behind all these things. I only had like 20 minutes to get all this stuff prepared, so I didn't have time. You guys can look into it. All over the Middle East, they're harvesting these organs, and they're involved with the sex trades, human slave trade. They love Slavic women over there, so a lot of Slavic women are stuck in these brothels, these bathhouses. Yeah. Yeah, man. We go into the Jewish ritual murder, and started way before Sabotage V. Like, Sabotage V had 1 million followers in the 1600s doing all this shit. But it goes back to after Christ's death. They just kept doing this stuff throughout the ages, and they haven't told anybody about it. But there's books on it. All this information you can look up. It's not anti-Semitism. It's just history. It's the sad truth. Yeah, and then go over to the David Pacman show or whatever, and it's this child abuse in Israel in these bathhouses, and it's protected. The police can't go into them. These people just do this shit with impunity, while we just sit back and bicker if they're really extremists or if it's some of them, whatever else. But these people are in control of our monetary system. They're in control of our education system. They're in control of our medical system. They can push immigration. They try to tighten gun laws. Any kind of un-American thing you could think of, or inhuman thing, to further their communist globalist agenda. Really sick. Or they're Babylonians, man. Same people. They just revived a tradition, the Pharisees. Abortion. Yeah, man. This all comes from them. So, how many fucking dead babies, man? Sick shit. Got another video for you guys if you want to stick around. Gotta go find it. I mean, they've perverted our culture so much that it's just it takes a lot of peeling back the layers and I don't know, refining your character, not like these people.
I am a free man. The king has issued a warrant for my arrest. The king has called me the most dangerous radio host in America. All of you hiding behind whatever you're hiding, making sure that you don't get on anybody's list, making sure that you file and pay the tribute every April 15th. You are slaves. I am free. I may be the only free man in America today. I'm free. And no matter how much it has cost me to be free, thank God in heaven, I'm free. And because I am free, maybe, just maybe, my daughters will someday be just as free. Thank God. Thank my Lord and Savior, Jesus, for giving me the courage and the moral fortitude to be free. Thank God. And if they come up here tonight and kill me in my sleep, which they probably will not do, I will be even more free than I have ever even dreamed of. And I will finally get to solve the last remaining mystery that cannot be solved until one dies. Then I will know if I was right or wrong, and if I was right, just maybe, God will smile at me. And I will be welcomed to his side. And that's the only thing in the world that matters to me. Good night, folks. God bless each and every single one of you. Good night, Pooh, my darling sweetheart. Good night, Allison, you vibrant little bundle of joy. You know, this house is haunted. I can hear you girls screaming and playing all the time. Annie, you are the love of my life. You always will be the love of my life.
Now that Missing Links is out, I'm eagerly awaiting all the good Jews to come out and help devise a solution for their criminal counterparts. Something tells me I'll be waiting a very long time before that happens. Those who have actually taken the time to study the Jew should, like myself and so many others before me, come to the realization that the Jew is so vile in its ways that it can nary be called human and seems to be something altogether fictional. Of course, in the infinite and divinely inspired wisdom of the Jew, the so-called chosen people not only claim to be more human than human, but altogether superior to their non-Jewish neighbors. A rabbi offers the following quote, no doubt salivating with typical rabbinical spittle. The difference between Jews and Gentiles are not religious, historical, cultural, or political. They are rather racial, genetic, and scientifically unalterable. The one group is at its very root and by natural constitution totally evil, while the other is totally good. The rabbi finds endorsement by even the highest Jewish leaders. The quote is one of the lighter of its kind amongst the volumes of rabbinical statements that pronounce the inferiority of non-Jewish people. Despite this, somehow there's always some soft-hearted fool ready to defend the Jew, despite their holy books and religious leaders openly speaking of their revolting pomposity and eagerness to molest, rape, steal from, kill, or otherwise abuse Gentiles and our little ones. If Jews have been wrongly persecuted for so long, it seems the good Jew would rapidly stand up to ensure that it is not persecuted or otherwise subject to the same fate as the evil Jew. Certainly the good Jew would quicken its speech and denouncement of the evil Jew as Gentile law enforcement, if not Gentile armies, soon rapidly rise to quell the infestation. As a multiracial person, I am intimately aware of the behavior of my white and black brethren. Most often this comes as a reflecting awareness before entering into a crowd. If I should step into a black crowd on a day in which a white man has said something terrible about black people across the Jew-run media, I might notice a measurable decrease in the temperature toward me, as I have light enough skin to be mistaken for a white man at a glance. If I'm with a black man who is speaking in ways that hardly amount to English, dresses like a low-class clown, and a white person has just had something stolen from them, we can bet that he or she will assume the culprit is in my general direction, even if my black accomplice is just a harmless, ignorant twit. My older half-brother, who has much darker skin than myself, held a deep hatred for black behavior. Although he has a genius IQ, never once touched a drug, and certainly never guilty of any crime nor even in trouble with the law, his fellow blacks, in majority, were a pack of gaggling fools who didn't seem to comprehend nor care what image they made of themselves. My brother was intimately aware of the reflection being given to him by his fellow black people. Certainly this new so-called black culture was systematically engineered by the Jew, and begins with the Jew inventing the myth of the curse of Ham, pouring alcohol into African communities, dragging the Negro people from their land, and instilling the slave mentality in them. It would not be long before the Jew would come to succeed in teaching white people these new ideas of black inferiority that the white man, as historical fact, never, if only amongst a minute few, held against his black brother in ancient record. With such things noted, if the black man wishes to rise above the propaganda of the Jew, it It behooves the man to counter their tactics by being and acting outside of stereotypes and by engendering a rise toward authentic Black American culture in his fellow Black man. If one is circumspect, you can see that many a Black leader, whether a king in media coverage or a local church personality, is working toward strengthening the Black community against Jewish-owned media propaganda and the vile work of music spun from Jewish-owned record labels. But where is this so-called good Jew who will work feverishly against the many bad apples of his race to secure a better idea of Jews in the minds of Gentiles before legions of our men drive them from our lands? We have had Benjamin Friedman and chess champion Bobby Fischer both denounce the Jew before Gentile audiences. But what ocean, if even a tub of Jews have come forward to propel their words? Friedman and Fischer rejected even being Jews, as they illustrated it as a seeping pustule of vanity, crime, and immorality. All the Jew has to show for is a sewer of anti-Zionist Jews who, in small part, succeed in convincing dupes that only Zionism is the problem and not the criminal and immoral behavior of the Jew. A Zionist is a kind of criminal who promotes the genocidal takeover of Palestine. And it is right to say that all this creature is a person in favor of the existence of Israel. That is the definition of a Zionist. Thus, one can still be a criminal Jew without being a Zionist, without being for the existence of Israel. The Jew who encourages the mutilation of little boys' penises not long after birth, circumcision, the Jew who molests children because their sacred book, the Talmud, says it's condoned, the Jew who cheats a Gentile out of money, the Jew that slaughters Gentiles with hardly a day of punishment from its fellow Jewish judge, is being a Jew, not a Zionist. You can readily find a Jew to preach side by side with you against Israel because it benefits the hive to be in control of dissent against Israel and Jewish behavior. Yet where are all the Jews who will at least stand up and pour forth video, article, and protest against people having to pay a kosher tax on almost every single item in the grocery store, despite the majority of us not being Jewish? Where is the Jew who will tell the Jew-run record labels to stop promoting white musicians who sell their souls for coin and go on to promote and encourage the feminization of white males via the corporate and Jew-engineered genre known as emo? Where is the Jew who will rail against their religiously backed ideas that it is okay, if not preferable, to poison our food and water, to molest little children, to use deception to drive non-Jewish races against each other, to control feminism so that our lovely Gentile women are driven against us? My speech is halted by a shout from someone in the rear who says, "But we have anti-feminist Christina Hoff Sommers." But given that she is a Jewess, merely on a mission to ensure anti-feminism is also controlled by the Jew, she conveniently fails to mention that every single major feminist leader is Jewish, and that it is due to the broader plan of Jews to control Gentiles by division, and that it's not some amazing coincidence. The Jew will never tell you the full story of their control, and there is no excuse for even the common Jew to not be aware of it. As a mixed person, I see the placement of mixed people in society, and I can say with full assurance that mixed people do not hold sway over the world. As humans, we automatically notice the placement of those of similar skin color and physical features in space-time, and I do not see mulatto people running the banks, media, publishing industry, porn industry, or the American government. Anyone who believes that the Jew does not notice the placement of other Jews is a fool. Anyone who preaches that the common Jew is merely unaware of what his brethren are doing is either an imbecile or serving to protect his Jewish masters by helping to claim their innocence. The Jew can plainly see that it is his race, not yours or mine, that controls the political spectrum, just as easily as I would notice if such circles were controlled by people who are mulatto, black, white, or Chinese. People who want you to believe that the Jew does not notice the power and placement of other Jews in society also must submit that they want you to believe that all Jews must be born blind. These people are lying to you. So where is this good Jew that will stand up with us and fight these criminals? Where is the good Jew who will denounce the whole of Jewish crimes and the entirety of the supremacist and immoral religion known as Judaism? I say to you that the good Jew does not exist, because one such as that would cease to be a Jew.
If you would like to help support more videos like this, please send a few dollars via PayPal to forcemultiplication@gmail.com. Thank you for your support.
Right.
going on, man? Can you hear me?
What's up? How y'all doing? Yeah, I hear you. Oh wait, I'm hearing an echo.
Yeah, I have my other video playing.
That's my bad.
Having a good New Year's Day, man.
Oh yeah. Andy was hammered all day though.
I never seen him sleeping in the chill room on the Discord.
Right.
Good shit, man. Yeah, so you've been watching the videos?
Yep. I give you my take on the first ones you played. Start
Okay.
with that Oprah one.
Yeah.
You only had that kind of crap on her show about any Jews that one time. That was her playing a card, if you ask me. That's my opinion about that. She was playing the Jew card.
Oh yeah. She
wanted to make more money.
Yeah, and you can see how they're throwing that fucking shade, you know, saying, "Oh, this is very surprising for a Jewish family." You
Right.
know? It's crazy, man. I mean, yeah. You can keep going though. What you have to say?
And yeah, that guy we just listened to, that was a nice video he made back then. But man, you're right. If you listen to something he put out last week, man, that dude's totally off his freaking rocker.
I know Andy was homies with him, man. It's strange to see someone going from being woke to the Jew to like running around in these fucking gematria, you know, Masonic hand sign symbols, circles.
Right.
That fool had balls, man, and then it's just like a fucking David Icke or, you know, Michael Tsarian or something.
He went and got into Freemasonry and decided he was the god or something. I don't know. Insane.
Yeah, man. Went really out there. I mean, some of this stuff can, I think it can induce some kind of like schizophrenic behavior, man. Even like some of these trolls, man, like they know a lot of shit, but it's like they're so paranoid and so, I don't know, so fucked up by this information that.
Yeah, it happens to you. It's part of it coming out of the brainwashing of it. You know, you just get really paranoid. You know, if you let that take hold of you, then you know you just stayed there in psycho land. And it ain't real good. It's hard to get out, you know.
Right. Once you start waking up to some of these truths, man, it makes shit make sense, but it just makes it seem so fucked up how misled so many people were for so long.
Right. You know you were lied to, but when you start sorting through all the lies, it's like, man, you got to change your whole way of thinking and reprogram yourself, and that's hard to do.
Right.
Some people go nuts from it. Get schizophrenia. And that sacrifice video you played, man, I'd like to get a little into that.
Yeah.
You know, part of it was talking about when they some Jews carried on the tradition of sacrificing, you know, children.
Right.
And
well, I thought it was interesting too how
them people wasn't considered the Jews, you know, after that, because the Jews were supposed to stop the sacrifice.
Yeah, I'm sure there was factions that branched off from it, but I mean, like the Jews of today, it's like it's just a conglomerate of that same, you know, sickness.
Right.
I mean, I thought something that was interesting too is that, you know, they're doing circumcision against these Christian Gentiles' will.
Right.
You know, and now it's like pretty much compulsory. People just do it like it's the thing to do.
Right. Yeah, that they're not taught. The kids need to be able to make their own choice, you know, whether they want to do the blood sacrifice or not, because that's supposed to be a covenant between the Christians and God, you know, and they're kind of forced into that. You know, they're not able to make their own choice. They do it at birth, you know. It's the parents' decision.
Right.
And you know, all that was supposed to stop anyway with when Christ came. Every bit of it. You know, the blood sacrifice was supposed to stop, and he was, you know, because he gave himself as the lamb. I guess the story goes.
Yeah.
Every bit of that was supposed to stop.
And they, I mean, they just ramped up their traditions, and I mean, they just got more perverse.
Right.
But the Pharisees and the Sadducees were like the leaders of their whole religion, you know, and those are the people that Jesus was speaking out against. So it's like, you know, were these just some fanaticals, or was it the whole faction? Because I'm pretty sure the Essenes, that the tribe that Jesus was from, they were, you know, just as fucking shunned as Jesus was. They didn't just go, oh yeah, we fucking killed your homie, you know, like now it's all good. I mean, and it's all the same shit they're doing today, man. Like, he fought against the usury, he fought against the sick bloodletting and the ritual sacrifice and all this other shit.
Yeah. Every time, really, that, you know, the religious stories go, they, you know, they were trying to wipe this crap out. You know,
Right.
Sodom and Gomorrah and all of them. Then you got, you know, Christ was the last one, and then after Christ, God said, you know, something like, you know, screw you guys. You know, I'll take my kingdom somewhere else. I'll give my blessings to another people. You know, it's all in there.
Right.
You know, they just, the Christian Zionists just skip over that part, because they all go to the same schools to learn how to be a preacher. So, you know, it doesn't matter about the Christians. They're freaking lost. They ain't even Christians. They're Zionists. You can't be both. You know, someone was saying last night or sometime along the line that you can't serve two masters, and that's what the Christians are trying to do. Is serve two masters, and they can't do it. You know, and you can't do that as an American too. You can't say, yeah, I believe that all men are created equal, but then again, you say, well, you know, except for the Jews, you know, they're God's chosen. You know, you can't be for both. It's an oxymoron.
Well, yeah, and if dual loyalty, you know, was a smart thing for our country, then it would be open to everybody. But it's not. You
Right,
know?
exactly. You know, they've taken our Constitution, our Christianity, and everything the Anglo and the Caucasian was about, the white man. Everything he was about, you know, they've taken it and turned it into shit. You know, and that really ought to be the Goy job, is pointing that out and trying to turn the tables on it, you know?
Well, and I mean, it says in the Protocols of Zion, you know, says that they'll highlight our misdoings and our flaws, you know, and obviously they don't highlight their flaws, because I mean, you know, this information isn't something that's readily available about what these people have done to us throughout the ages.
Yeah, definitely. You know, that's something, a big time thing there. Every time a Muslim does something, you know, and you know, I'm not trying to stick up for Muslims. There's crazy Muslims and there's crazy everybody.
They misdirect with everybody else.
Yeah, exactly. You know, they say, oh, Muslim, or white guy, you know, oh, white guy killed 3 guys today, you know.
But we can't address any Goy problems until we get these problems taken care of.
Right. You know, and then you got these Jews. I've debated with Jews, and they've said, you know, well, you don't see the Jew going around blowing themselves up, killing a bunch of people, you know, and then you realize that, you know, most of these school shootings are done by Jews, and, you know, you can throw that one right straight back into their face. You know, that's a big part of it, that the news will report on the Muslim and the black and the white crime, but they ain't reporting on, oh, this Jew did this.
Right.
You know, that they're censored out of everything. You know, and if people would see the cards on the table for what they really are, people would have a different point of view about it.
Right. Oh, I mean, and the bribery is so extensive, man, and their connections. It's like, you know, the crimes that they do they do get caught for like the most atrocious shit, but it's just like, you know, it's just like that fucking organ trafficker, you know. Oh, they'd known about him for 7 years. You know, they had already had reports at the fucking FBI field office.
That was here in America where they busted him, right?
Yeah, I think it was New York. I mean, all
Yeah,
kinds of
you
that
know
shit
that
happened.
guy got away and is living in Israel today, and
Right?
doing the same thing in Israel today. Well,
Yeah.
I don't know. He might have died by now or something, but
Well, that's another thing. I mean, Israel is a safe haven for these people. They keep dual loyalty, and when they fuck up somewhere, they get caught for something. They just can get back there scot-free, and they don't get tried. I mean, these people are above the law. They act with impunity around the world. And I mean, they've put these laws to protect them from their misdeeds.
right, that was the Columbine murderers. Plan was to escape to Israel.
That's a good point, man. Yeah, the fucking Columbine. I was out here in Colorado when that happened.
Yeah, that was
all their friends were
totally a
Jews.
Jewish thing. Yeah,
All their fucking friends were Jews, man.
they were all
And-
Jews, every one of them.
and they were helping those fuckers out with that.
Yep.
Um,
And they didn't
drove-
get nothing, man.
No, but what's crazy too is they fucking 2 of them got found got shot up in a subway, and they didn't even investigate the crime till like the day after. They just left the bodies in there. But like none of this was covered in the media. Like people still go with the, you know, mainstream narrative that it was 2 shooters, but they were actually driving one of the shooters to like a bomb that they had exploded to get the police off track.
Yeah, out in the field.
They were communicating with Mossad online, and they had this fucking Jew all screwed up in his head thinking that he was doing something good for America and he was going to get back to Israel.
Yep.
But then,
And you know, that wasn't reported like that. And then
Nah.
you start digging into it now, and all that information's getting scrubbed.
but you look at, I can't remember their, as Dylan Klebold and Eric Harris.
Yes.
But the Jew, he got put out there that like he was bullied and blah, blah, blah. And then the fucking Goy, it's like, oh, the Goy, he was just a fucking nutcase, psychopathic fucking, you know, sick motherfucker. But that Jew boy, man, he was just bullied so bad that he lost it.
Right. You know, that's what it all started over, is because one of their Jewish friends was gay, and the kids were picking on him for being gay. You know, that's what triggered him.
I mean, that should be like normal for, you know, for people to kind of like be hesitant to be gay. And I mean, like when I was in school, fuck, man, you know, I didn't like go around like beating the shit out of gay people, but like, you know, it was just kind of like, I don't know, like an unwritten code that like, you know, if you're gay, man, it's like unnatural. Like it's
keep it at home.
Taboo, man, for a reason.
Right. Keep it at home, man. Ain't everybody want to see that. We don't want a gay society. Oh, but now look at us.
But yeah, but going back to the Columbine thing, man, the guy, one of the kids' moms worked for a Jewish organization, and they came to the damn high school and they pulled out crosses that people had brought there for the victims. I mean,
right, the very first girl they killed, man, I can't remember her name anymore. I used to type it in all the time.
it was all some Christian shit, man. Like they were like,
Yeah, they asked her,
God,
and then pulled the trigger and executed her after she said yes. She still didn't give up her faith, and they pulled the trigger and executed her.
yeah, man. I mean, you can look. There's some good. I don't know if they've been scrubbed from YouTube, but there's some good videos on that, like of the footage. There was freaking agents running around that school, man. Crazy.
Oh yeah, they were trying to find all them bombs, and there was over 100 bombs, man,
Oh, yeah.
around there, and they say them two carried them in.
Plainclothes people, like I mean, it looked weird, man. It looked weird. And I mean, I think people died, but I mean that was like the first big false flag school shooting. So I was just like warm up for the rest of them.
Right, a false flag isn't always false.
But you see now how like they pretty much they tie Mossad out of it. But I mean, there's some good information about, you know, him communicating with Mossad, and then I mean you could look at, I mean, just all the Jewish aspects of that whole tragedy. Crazy.
You know, and you look at the other Jewish shooters, and you know there's a pattern there. You know, a lot of them are on these SSRIs. Yes,
Okay.
they're all depressed. You know, and homes and
Jewmaceuticals.
Yes, exactly. They're all got psychiatrists. So you know that's just too much of just all the coincidences there that point to government intervention or whatever it may be. It's just people should know that.
Well, when we're so attacked by them from so many levels that it's easy for the media to misdirect and place it on one thing instead of placing it on the one thing that's causing these multiple attacks.
Yes.
It's just a scapegoat to single one thing out and to misdirect. But
Yep. I wish I was more adept to making or even wanted to make content for YouTube, because that all needs to be tied together. Even the YouTube shooter, that Iranian girl, hell, she was an Iranian Jew on the same freaking depression medicine. That there's a profile there. You can profile
it wasn't even like a real person, that it was just like some CGI shit.
I know, I seen that. But if it was, man, hell, they sure pointed their fingers at the Jews.
Really?
And that was YouTube. Yeah, she had a video out saying that she was an Iranian Jew. And Q kept saying, I hate to bring up Q, man. I don't believe the bullshit there, but
well, that's like how they got fucking Sirhan, that Palestinian, to shoot Robert F. Kennedy.
Right.
It's just always some fucked up misdirection to shove it in your face.
But Q kept saying, look at who her father was. And I went and looked up who her father was, and hell, he was the head of a synagogue in Iran when he was younger.
Crazy.
So yeah, they're probably all Manchurian candidates one way or another.
Well, I mean, even with the Las Vegas thing, man, Adelson bought a bunch of put options on the hotel, and then the owner or one of the CEOs like sold off half his shares or some shit like that.
Really?
Yeah,
man.
And half of the hotel, like the top half of the hotel was owned, or the top couple floors were owned by Saudi Arabia, man. Just a big fucking
right.
line.
I kind of like that one guy's theory that was he was talking about the helicopters and stuff, and Jake Marfonius ripped him up one day, man, embarrassed the guy online. And that's kind of where I seen Jake, and he started blowing up after that. But he was talking about, the owners of the hotel and what was going on at the time, and showing helicopters that wasn't even in the air at the time, and flashes coming from these helicopters, but no lights were on the helicopters.
Right.
You could see gun flashes coming from them. And he had some of this stuff on videotape. He was pointing it out. Now, I'm not saying it was true or not, but it was a good theory.
Right. Well, we know our military's been subverted. So, I mean, for most of us, like,
what he was saying was, I don't know, the owner of the hotel was Afghan Saudi Arabia family, and they were going through a bloodlet at the time through the family. The family members were killing each other off to grab a hold of it.
Yeah, that bin Salman. Yeah.
Right. And he owned the hotel or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm sure it all tied in with their fucking master plan.
That's another one I kind of was all right with, and then, kind of seen him, especially when I seen that Blackstone intelligence that he's got there. Hell, that was the name of a Mossad agency or something somewhere at one time, or
remind me of Blackwater.
Yeah, well, no, there was a Blackstone intelligence Mossad something somewhere at one time. And man, when I was on with him until I seen that, and I remembered that, and I was like, geez, because I knew I'd heard the name before.
I think they're at the point, man, where they have to run heavy misdirection, like that they have to have some like Mossad plants in place. I mean, because they know that the like end game is like furthered out, and there's so many motherfuckers naming them now.
Right? Are you down with Adam Green? You like Adam?
I mean, I just don't really like taking opinion anymore, man. You know, after I've been duped by so many motherfuckers, it's just like.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. You can't tell if they're for real or not.
I watch some videos and shit, man, and like I try to like.
Yeah, he puts out good content. Works hard.
Yeah, I think it's good to share with like noobs and stuff like that, you know, just to kind of like hook them in, like a Ken O'Keefe or something like
Right.
like that.
Like a 12-step program.
Right.
HT is like step 6.
Y'all get there, man. I know he said he was gonna get out and
jaywalk somewhere.
Yeah, man, it's Friday, so kind of cool, man.
Yeah. Hopefully he doesn't put on a superhero outfit.
Nah, that fool's already shown his face, man. I mean,
Yeah.
You know,
We don't want him to become Supergoy.
that's what we got to take into account too. I mean, it's this fucking Jews, man, but like the control mechanism is fucking endless. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, the subversion and shit, and the people in place. I mean, there's Shabo's fucking military that's carrying out this shit, you know, against us.
Oh yeah. Whole big operation.
Right.
With billions of dollars put into it just to grab a hold of our minds.
It's these black budget programs, man. I mean, they've really done a good job at convincing the elite and, you know, the upper echelons of society, you know, to look at us the way that they do in their perverse Talmud.
Yeah, too bad Hitler didn't get a hold of that.
Right. I mean, too bad, like, those, you know, 109 countries, you know, all those freaking times didn't totally destroy it. I mean, it just really makes you think that they have some kind of evil on their side, that they are the synagogue of Satan. You know, they are of their father, the devil.
100%.
And they're fake, you know, just like Jesus says, man, they're the fake Jews, you know?
As fake as they get.
Yeah.
You know, and you can prove it in so many different ways.
Right.
I can't even remember half of them now. But man, I would just, I'd put them 2 Bible verses in there to prove, and then I would put all their lies in there. One was, you know, you say the Palestinian ain't people. You know, you say that Palestine was never a place, you know, and that's all bull crap. You can prove that Palestine was, you know, was in the Bible.
Oh yeah, I've heard that fucking nonsense, man.
Right? You know, you can just pick apart their lies when you debate with one of them.
Philistina or something like that was in Rome. You know?
Yep.
They can just make up whatever fucking lie they want to, because nobody has the ability to call them on anything, because they, you know, weaponized language against us.
Right. I wonder where all them Jews were. That was, I don't know if you were around with Red Elephant, when he was having Jews on and debating them, and White Elephant, he was doing the same. He started this thing of blood sport.
Oh, okay.
And everybody would just basically go in there and bash the Jew, and there'd be a Jew in the room. You know, and he would have to defend himself. But it always turned into a hollering contest, and, you know, a foul mouth thing.
Whenever I'm watching Luke Ford, I feel like my goal is to bash the Jew, but I don't ever get much response in his chat, live chat. Are those all Jews that Luke Ford has on his show?
I don't know, man. I don't pay any attention.
It's hard to
like
listen
I said
to
last night, I just listen to you guys anymore.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I'm not going to listen to someone I don't want to hear.
It just blows my mind that there's like a Jew that is in the truth community that like has a community of people that think they're woke to something.
When it's them.
Right. And I also think it's funny how all these alt-right people use the Matrix references, like red pilling people. I mean, a lot of people do that, but, you know, especially these like alt-right people. And it's like, you know, if you look into those people that came out with that movie, man, the Wachowski brothers, they're fucking transgenders now. It's funny to me.
Wow, that's nasty, dude.
Right? Like if those people knew they were referencing that.
I was watching TV tonight, and there was something about.
What's up, man? What up? Funny to me.
Hey, turn down your speakers, please.
Right? Like if those people knew. They were
I was watching TV tonight, and there was something about.
What's up, man?
Wait.
Funny to me.
Hey, turn down your speakers. Killing us.
How do I unmute it?
But there was something, man, I walked by it. I turned my TV on so my dogs can watch it. If they don't, they'll bark out the window constantly.
I don't know how to unmute him now.
Uh-oh. But I seen something, forget RuPaul. They're having some kind of drag queen thing on TV now. Did you see that? Some RuPaul drag queen special.
Can't figure out how to unmute him. You got it. Some drag queen shit they got.
Yeah, RuPaul or whatever her name is coming out with a drag queen contest for TV now.
What the fuck, man?
Man, that is pathetic, dude. All these kids watching that crap.
Right? I mean, and then they get misled into thinking that it's like some
normal
big demographic of society or something, that it's not some like thick fucking small minute sickness that
right, and then it gets normal to them, and then, you know, they decide that, oh, you know, I don't know, it's crazy. I had a buddy of mine that we spent a lot of time at work, and his wife raised his kid, and I had noticed some feminine qualities about his son when he was like 8 years old. He would stand there with a limp wrist and have his hips, you know, and this dude was a manly man, you know, he wasn't none of that. But anyway, man, I told him about it. He got pissed at me for saying anything about it, and then he started noticing it, and he started correcting his son about it, and then took his son, started bringing his son to work with us.
Right. Which is crazy how across like most cultures, pretty much all cultures, man, we can agree on a lot of common things, but one big thing is the fact that, you know, this homosexuality is fucking wrong from its beginning.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean,
and you know, just like his son, man, you can make them not be that, because he turned out to be a hell of a man after that, you know.
Right.
Am I like tonight or what?
What'd you say?
Am I like the DJ tonight or what? I mean, can play music on here? You gonna get a strike or something?
I don't know. Are you getting a strike for playing music?
No, it'll just give like copyrights to them or something, and I can't monetize. But I'm not gonna ever monetize anyway, so.
I could change the speed on it. I don't think the dude's live streaming right now, and he doesn't have any copyright anything. Usually they put, you know, I don't own any of this. Contact me if you want it shut down, you know, pulled or whatever. But if shit is copywritten, they'll, you know, it'll, you know, like you said, it'll trigger the fucking screen or whatever.
Right.
You know, I don't know. They put up some new copyright stuff specifically. I don't know. People, you play music, right? You play music sometime in the intro, don't you?
Yeah. You got some good Jude naming music?
Just some synthwave.
I'll close it out with it, man, if you want to throw it up in the thing.
I don't know. Something
you want to throw it in the chat? Just throw it in the group chat.
See. No, it's all right.
Yeah. So I mean, going back to like what Jolly was saying, man, it's like you could tell that this religion, this group of people, this whatever the fuck you want to call them, man, that we can't address. People they don't have any problem with homosexuality. You know, it's totally fine with their culture. So, I
Right.
mean,
America adopted that rainbow flag from Israel, you know, and they got it from the Bible after the flood, you know, type thing. You know, and we would have never had it if the Jews hadn't been pushing it and making it seem normal.
right. Sick, man. I mean, and then they get the Shabbos to do it. They get them to join up in these, you know, occultic fucking Freemason societies, these Boule societies, all this other shit, man. These fraternities, and they do all the same sick shit that ties them together.
Right? You know, and they pick at these kids and they pick at them, man. You know, real men wear pink. Bull crap. You wear pink back in my day and you'd got your head beat in.
Right.
You would have relentlessly been picked on until you didn't wear pink anymore. I promise you.
Right. The do as thou wilt mindset, man.
Yep, Aleister Crowley all the way. That was Sister Shikit was kind of saying this the other night.
Fourth
The
utopia.
hippies changed. Yep, the hippies changed all that. Entered us into the age of Aquarius, and then they turned into yuppies. And then their children were preppies. You know, and that's what we got today. You know, yuppies and preppies up there pulling this fag crap on everybody.
Right.
They all used to wear these polo shirts when I was in school.
It's like if you cuck out, then you get to be a minority.
That's a hate crime. He just committed a hate crime.
Give more handouts.
I'm a hateful motherfucker, man.
You're gonna cuck to their gender.
It's a shame that the only Christian will speak out against this is Pastor Anderson, from what I've heard. I mean, there might be other ones out there, but I've only heard him speak out against it.
Yeah, would that make him an Edomite if he's polluted his blood?
There's this guy, this Baptist preacher, something Lawson, man. He's pretty woke. I've heard him preaching some pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, he's part Jewish, isn't he? Is that what you're trying to say? Spiritual? Yeah, he is.
Who?
You know, Anderson.
Anderson.
What?
Yeah.
You the dude that looks like the guy from Lost?
Related to Larry, what is it?
The marching to Zion and shit?
Yes.
What? That
Yeah,
motherfucker's a Jew?
in Marching to Zion, he takes a DNA test. And he's got like 1% Ashkenazi in him. His great-great-grandmother, who knows? Yeah, he's got part Jew in him.
He's very, very low on the
Jew poll.
on the Talmudic stick.
What Ashkenazis are? They're like
No, I mean,
No, he's talking about the 1% or whatever it is.
I mean, that motherfucker names them pretty well. Like,
He does.
I'm seeing
talking about.
He names them all, though.
Yeah.
He
just
goes
reads the
off on the
Bible.
Bibles. You know, he goes off on every religion's Bibles, you know, too, because there was like, I don't know, 9 Bibles that were made. Like you had that printing press video up, didn't you? Was that you I was watching that with earlier? Where they had the printing press and they was talking about printing the first Bibles and stuff with the first printing press. They made like 9 of them all at one time. And they've referenced all the Bibles off of them 9 since. And if it varies, in any way from the original 9, then it's a counterfeit.
Who makes most of the Bibles? Don't
I'm sure Jews do, but the King James version doesn't vary.
Right.
But all these other ones, the New Living Testament or whatever it is, and the
they're trying to change shit all crazy.
the Mormon Bible, and there's whole verses that just, it totally skips a whole verse. It
He was sitting on the couch. All kinds of weird shit.
Yeah, it goes like from 2.31 verse 2, and then it goes down to, it skips two or three numbers and it starts up again, verse 7, and it's like, well, where's these other verses? And then you look down at the bottom and it's got a little explanation of it. It was trying to tell you that when Christ said that that God's kingdom wasn't in heaven here on earth anymore, that that he was talking about, Christ said that there would never be a political movement for Christians, is their explanation for that, and the verses they leave out. Just crazy, man.
Right. I mean, now it's just a control thing, and that's why they've gotten so many people to reject it and to just become a nihilist fucking shit. That just serves this, furthering of this cultural fucking decay.
And same thing with our Constitution. Everybody can pick out parts in it that's bad and that they don't like, so they cancel out the whole thing. Oh well. But then again, we cry about our rights are being taken away. We're using our Constitution, and we don't want no more taken away, but we don't use it correctly. For everything that's there.
Added so much, man.
But we don't have any rights because we don't exercise rights because we haven't established rights.
Exactly.
On paper or in life, or challenge authority, or claim your name or your body, or
Because they've written laws against all that, right?
They used to teach it in 5th grade to fucking kids, man. I mean, how to contract. How not to get forced into a contract. What a contract means is the two beneficiary parties, right? Like, or it's some subversive shit that, like you're fucking going to create a account at the bank. What creates that money? Your signature. So,
it's the same way.
Get nothing out of it. It's like, it's just fucking retarded.
It's the same way they have our country indebted to their banking structure. We have to borrow money
from them to give it to them.
Right.
Absolutely ludicrous.
Yeah, high interest rates. It's insane. People barely scrape by. It's retarded. It's ridiculous. Why they cause inflation and they give us, kickbacks or incentives or whatever. Here, we'll give you this. We'll give you this. We'll give you that. Well, doesn't do shit. Let's say they gave everybody $50,000. If inflation goes up and your shit, gas is $7 a gallon, milk's fucking $5 a gallon, whatever. Shit at the store is fucking triple. Doesn't mean shit. You didn't get nothing.
Right.
You got Jude.
You got Jude.
Nobody likes to get Jude.
That's what I'm scared of with white nationalists, man. No one wants to get Jude, but I'm scared they'll turn into the Jews if they ever get in control.
Well, and I mean, it's the same thing on the other side, man, with like the black nationalists, or I wouldn't call them black nationalists, but the ones that are woke to the Jew, but they're blaming everything on the white man. Like,
right? I mean, they still want that power grid.
Well, it doesn't seem genuine, just like the other side, man, because they're just furthering this divide.
You guys ever read Animal Farm?
Yeah, in school.
Yeah, that's the way it would be too.
Yeah, but there's 90% of the world's wealth, and we don't have access to. All we'd have to do is get that, and everything be cool, man. There's you give everybody an acre in Australia, and you still have the rest of the world to fucking rape. So it's all city programming, fear programming.
Right.
It'd be an economic miracle, man, if we got these fuckers out of our country, man. You know?
Spain did it. They became a superpower. Germany did it. They became a superpower.
Yep.
But I mean, they're already planning their escape, man. You can already see it with all these backdoor deals they're doing with Russia and China, and they're not covering it in America, but you know, they're big fucking deals, and all of our technology's being outsourced. They're not gonna fucking pull us out of our $21 trillion of debt.
Yeah, they're just waiting for us to kick them the fuck out.
All these fucking talking points, like, oh, we're gonna end the Fed. You know, like, fuck the fuck out of here. Trump's a globalist and a nationalist.
Yeah, he said he was a Democrat. He was going to run as a Republican to trick the sheep.
Yep, crossing party lines.
He's a New York liberal and he's a fucking conservative. Yeah, right.
Best friends with the 9/11 fuckers. You know?
Larry Silverstein.
Yeah, all the freaking real estate people. He was in debt too, and he put his name on it because he was fucking worthless or some shit. He didn't make him out to be some fucking mogul. He's just a fucking brand name.
Sold his soul to the devil.
He's hiring Biff. He's Biff Tannen from Back to the Future.
Yep.
When the freaking world ends in that movie, it's like everything's shit, everything's fucked, and yeah, great.
And have you seen all the references in that movie?
It's fucking retarded.
Back to the
Maybe
Future.
guy admits that he's based him on Trump. He admits that. And then he came out with some other fucking Twin Tower movie where he's got some that fucking dude doing a tightrope walk across the towers. That was the dude that fucking produced Back to the Future, what, 30 years ago or some shit?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, all the predictive programming, man. They fucking tell us, you know.
Definitely.
Part of their sick fucking
Kabbalah. So
yeah, ritualistic shit.
Yep.
Get rid of bad karma, allegedly. I don't know how you get rid of bad karma like these motherfuckers, man.
No, that's a good reason to pay attention to their movies and all their crap. You know, I can't bring myself to do it anymore, but that would be a good reason to pay attention to all of it.
Right. Well, and all these rituals, I mean, all this murder that they cause in the world, it's, you know, to hasten the return of their Moshiach. Comes right out of their Sabbatean, Frankist, you know, perverted doctrines.
Right. Last 10 years, how many movies they've had about California burning and being invaded and all that. And now look what's happening.
Kind of soften you up to the idea.
Yep.
Well, and it seems like they put shit in movies too to like, you know, put out the plausible deniability. You know, I mean, even with like the stupid wrestling shit, man. It's like called NWO. You know, it's just like some fucking joke to like conflate conspiracies with, you know, wrestling or something.
Right. There was them two wrestlers called the Twin Towers. You remember them?
Yeah, oh my God.
Right? And then they turned into Muslims and they started acting like Muslims. You remember that?
Yeah, I've seen that shit,
And
man.
they're like, the towers are coming down, brother. Some fucking just blatant as shit. Like, just
Right.
It's such a mind fuck, man. Because even in like high school, or yeah, I was in high school, I was watching that fucking Arrested Development show. I don't know if anybody's ever seen that,
that
man.
shit
But they were
was
just
funny, man. I like that shit. Is that one with David Cross?
yeah, but they were pretty much just
It was
telling
funny. It was pretty
motherfuckers that
stupid. It was pretty fucking funny. That one bitch is plays an archer, I think. That old fucking the mother. She's all crazy and an asshole. She's like funny, kind of. It's a good character.
But, I mean, in that show, they were telling people what they were doing in Iraq, you know? I mean, there's so much fucking soft disclosure that they let out. Like, you know, all of the fake houses that they were building over there, and, you know, Halliburton having all these contracts and shit.
What, in the 90s?
No, like around 2000, around 2000.
Gotcha.
Dude, and all the fucking the candy corporations. Was it Mars and Hershey's? And there's like fucking 50,000 corporations underneath that. You know, every little nuance of candy, and fucking Keebler, Nabisco,
Hershey there. China owns Hershey, right?
Who?
China owns Hershey.
I don't know.
Is that who it is?
I can't imagine. I don't
Pretty
know.
much like
Nestle.
China,
Maybe
like a
Nestle. I
Jew.
think Nestle does. And
Is that what it is?
Nestle steals all
Who
kinds of
makes
water.
that Spring Mountain water? Is that
Dude,
Nestle?
they just steal fucking third worlders water, and they're like, here's a fucking fountain. Pay a token that you can't even afford because you're carrying water from fucking a mile away in the first place. Here's a token. If you can't pay it, you don't get your fucking water. Motherfuckers are carrying shit on their head. You know, that's just. I was without water for 3 days, and it was fucked up, man. You know, that's what they did to that Christian that went to South Africa. They were like, we know you white people hate filth, so they fucking man, I don't even want to talk about them. It's gonna make me furious.
Animated.
Yeah, like from earlier today with these trolls, man. These trolls.
Yeah, you got to pay them no attention, dude. It's fun every now and then to get in there and duke it out with them, but you know you can't let them get to you.
They hijack the chat and turn the chat against each other, and then pretty soon everybody's calling each other a Jew, and it's like, and then we're like,
sure
you guys are retarded, you guys look stupid, you guys are, the fucking real trolls come in, these freaking super idiot trolls, the trolls that are now fucking are using content because they don't have any fucking content. They're just, man, you look at this show, completely different, civilized research, open-ended discussion. Over there, it's just like.
But don't think I'm not a troll.
I like to just pretend that there's no Jews and that there's like some stupid fuckers.
And there's no respect. No respect to women. No respect to old original GDO members.
I don't go there.
No respect.
I mean, I think it comes down to what we were talking about earlier, man. It's like
I'll respect anybody till they disrespect me. Then it's on.
I get attacked for sticking up for people.
Yeah, I don't. I'll stick up for you guys and Andy, but I might even give HT a shout out anymore. Like, especially when he's right, man. That just really got me the other day with them Europeans that running their mouth about him attacking their children and shit.
Right.
What about the?
Well, I mean, if you're looking to America, your whole show is about America and our process over here and our problems and our fucking false flag attacks. And why don't you fucking try to talk to us Americans with some fucking respect? Because you guys can't even own guns over there. You guys have fucking cut the fuck out. And you've been cut the fuck out to the Jew for a long fucking time.
Forever. They've never not been. It's always been the Jew over there.
They can all organize and rise the fuck up. Well, if they don't have guns, what do they do over there? So, are they just going to ban, whatever? What do the cops use over there? Batons?
Right. They're lost, man. They're never going to. They couldn't live without the Jew over there.
Right. So if you're really a truther and you want some fucking changes, then maybe start, trying to not troll people that are woke to this shit and are trying to make a fucking difference. That's all I can really put out there.
And there's a few Canadians that are like that too. Canada's always been under Jewish control and the control of Europe. They attacked us in 1812. You kicked our ass too.
Well, they divided up the fucking.
Or Europe.
They divided up the French and the fucking Canadians and shit over there so they can just, bait them back and forth and, flood some immigrants in there and, have the same problems that they push everywhere else.
Right. And I don't have a problem with Canadians. They're good, calm-headed. For the most part, funny people,
Trudeau's fucking pedo-loving ass.
Man, that guy is retarded. What the fuck is up with this freaking retard? They lowered the age of consent for what? Just freaking open-ended gay ass orgies in public, basically.
Right.
I don't
know where it's going, man.
And what? Animal brothels too. I think they got over there because freaking.
Yeah. When does it stop, man? Like, how far do we let them push it before we fucking do something?
Yeah. What is the breaking point? Exactly.
They're marked. Shit, we got pentagram.
Everybody has that individualistic mindset where they're just like, well, it doesn't affect me. Doesn't, you know, not in my fucking bubble.
Right. You know, that they, you know, that's part of the big Santa Claus lie, you know, that, you know, that you learn, okay, it's okay to lie to yourself and then, or be lied to, and you accept lies, and, you know, and that's part of, you know, being submissive. It's accepting lies.
Well, and I think one of the lies that they feed us is that we're insignificant. We can't really make an impact. But I mean, it's like the small things you do. You can drop a, you know, Jew truth here and there. You know, you can. Like, it does make an impact. And even like a comment on an article, or, you know, I mean, trying to sway somebody, man. Just doing it like from a good place.
Yeah. Well, I get told American. You can't do this. You can't do that. You can't change the weather. You can't change, you know, all kind of shit. It's like, what the, it's not, you know, it's a fucked up mantra.
Right. We need to take, I mean, we need to wake military motherfuckers up and shit, man.
They
black pilling some fucking military.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they've actually disarmed a lot of like the fucking, you know, the army or the National Guard for sure. Like, you know, if fucking people decided, fuck this, the government's insane, they're going way too far, people are getting really pissed off, this is getting fucked up, we don't, you know, we're gonna side with the people because we're here, we're in here, we're from here, our family's here, fuck you, you know.
Right.
They've like taken their weapons caches and shit, like they've emptied all this shit. So, you know, if they do side with us for like, fuck, man, we got the hunters and that's it. Like the hunters, the preppers. I don't even want to say the hunters because kind of like dox them. You know, it's like the only good fucking. Everybody else.
Back in the 70s and 80s, man, we had armories full of weapons and tanks and jeeps and in every small town across America. I mean, I grew up in a really small town, and we had our own armory with a tank and a jeep and a freaking ground-to-air launcher, and it was crazy. And then inside the building, they would take us on field trips there at school. And inside the building, it was all rifles locked up, Thompson machine guns and ammunition, and slowly, man, all that stuff all across America just disappeared. We don't have nothing like that anymore.
Well, it's like we're one of the few countries left you can have a gun, man. Like, what's his name? Mark said and brought up in Australia, man, how they just, you know, people just handed in their guns over there and shit. But I think in America, man, we're so fucking
not everybody.
We're so ideologically and fucking, you know, mixed up and divided that, like, you know, it doesn't really matter if we all have guns. People just fucking kill each other.
Right. You talking about Australia?
Japan, I don't know, Japan, somewhere in China you can't have a gun, but you still see crazy fuckers running around with some shitty ass rifle, you know.
Oh yeah.
Guns malfunction, guns are a pain in the ass, guns are, you know, they're freaking not like what people make them out to be, you know. A little kid is not gonna be able to, I can barely pull back a fucking slide on a new gun. It's hard, it's difficult, you gotta, you know, get a lot of pressure and fucking torque and leverage, or else you can't do shit. Unless it's like a 20-year-old gun that's been, you know, broken in like crazy and it's like nice and loose.
Nice and oiled up. I keep mine oiled.
APAC wants our fucking guns, man.
There should be weapons training for, you know, kids. Kids need to learn this shit, so you can
used to be
teach them young. And there's lots of videos of kids, you know, they're freaking like marksmen. They're badass little fuckers, man. Lots of
white in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. There were definitely boys and girls shooting clubs in schools. You know, every kid had their own rifle they would bring to school.
Imagine that.
Hell, there was plenty of mornings, man, when you pull up into school and see some redneck, man, have a gun rack in his truck, and there'd be a 30-06 or, you know, whatever up in the gun rack right out in the school parking lot, you know.
Yeah,
not once did any of us ever think about bringing a gun into school and shooting anybody. If we wanted to do that, we just go out back and knuckle it up.
Yeah, well, you'd be wishing that motherfucker was there. Some, you know, false flag shit popped off or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, exactly.
Some crazy fucker. You know.
And back then, every principal probably had a pistol in his desk. You know,
Right.
they went to these gun-free zones, anti-American zones, free kill zones, and now we got free kill zones.
And you got no-go zones.
Well, and people are like, "Oh, what
Yeah,
does it matter? No guns in Starbucks." But that's how they implement it. They soften you up to the idea. They start doing it like here and there, and then it's like, you know, next thing you have a fucking people handing out their guns in the street and shit.
They tried to ban the fucking convenience stores, dude. They're like, he's like, I need to put up bulletproof glass because these fucking nignogs are fucking going crazy. They're robbing me. They're taking my shit. They're fucking shopping while black. You know, it's just black shopping. You know, shoplifting, but you know, it's just shopping. So they're not letting him put up the bulletproof glass because it's racist. He's racist. He's not white. He's an Asian, but it's, you know, it's racist. Right? He's probably got some white privilege apparently.
Yeah, that was crazy.
So he's like, so if I die, what are you guys gonna do? How are you guys gonna, you know?
Oh, we'll come clean the mess up. That's our part. Clean the mess up.
Well, it's part of the cultural Marxism, man. They have to have protected classes so that we can feud and fucking fight. If you know, if we all weren't fucking debt slaves and, you know, and fed this fucking sick culture that they fucking, you know, shove down our throats, man.
Right. You know, I think a lot of the problem is, man, with all of us is, especially these trolls, man, these people that are just now trying to be YouTube stars by bashing HT or, you know, bashing somebody. I think a lot of their problem is, man, is the old saying, idle hands. They don't have nothing else to do. Everybody's freaking bored.
Yeah, they have no content. They just talk about dumb, like, yeah, this and that, something stupid that's totally irrelevant. Fucking this person, that person did this. Yeah, her teeth are fucked up. Blah blah blah. It's like, what the fuck is wrong with you fags, man?
But I mean, that's what the Jew typically does, is they say other people do shit that they do. You know?
Yep. Reflection.
Like, oh, the Christians were so bad to the Jews. I mean, we all know that whole fucking story, but fed them to the lions and all that. But
and we're supposed to be. You know, that's a part that, you know, another bad thing about, you know, Christians being Christians. Look at Pastor Anderson. He don't give them a break.
Nah.
Well, what will cause somebody, just like in the chat, these fucking trolls want to fucking cry to HT, and he goes, nobody ban anybody, stop banning people. Wait. Why is somebody banning somebody? You know? Why is this fucking troll? He's not a troll. He's fucking been in our shit for a while, but he acts like a fucking troll, and he spams the chat like this troll, and it's like, what the fuck, dude? And you know, JL is right. Jurassic Liars is right, man. He's been trolling the shit out of us for fuck.
It's like, why are people fighting over dumb shit? It's like, you know, I mean, we're not all gonna be friends, you know, in real life, but like, y'all can agree that we fucking have a problem and we need to address it, and like,
stay on topic.
Yeah, man. Bickering back and forth is just like, I don't know, just, I mean, it makes you question, like, these people like really know the problem, how serious it is.
Right.
Well, if you don't address it, if you just go quit fighting in the chat, kids, you know, it's like, oh, well, and I was like, why did you get banned? Why did he ban you? I asked the fucking troll.
Oh, but I mean, the problem is, like,
it's none of your business.
People started talking to him, man. People started, you know.
It's like admitting guilt, basically. None of your business. It's like, well, what? You don't want to solve the... you're going to trigger me with some flat earth, man.
I mean, people fed them so much that they grew into what they are now, man. It's fucking... Yeah.
You know, and infighting's good in a way. You know, it helps weed out the subverters and the Jews.
Well, if you bait somebody to show their true colors, then yeah, sure. But it's like, you know, it's just like, it takes away, it diverts the chat, it diverts the show. Somebody's got to fucking look at the chat and be like, oh, look at this bullshit. Oh, fuck it, I'm just going to stop streaming. Fuck this. Ruins the whole
fucking... That ought to be a standing rule, man, that if two guys start getting into it in chat, they ought to go on live stream and have it out on live stream.
All right, but let's say them two guys, does one of them have a wrench and one of them's being like a little fucking, you know, power hungry tripping fucking retard and needs his wrench taken away so he can behave like Adam or, you know, Damon V.
Have him go on a live stream and have it out, you know? It'd be fun to watch. Have it a real debate and not a screaming match.
Yeah. I would just say don't get baited
That's
into
possible.
shit, man.
Yeah.
Someone says something about you, just let it roll off. You know?
And it could be like, yeah, I'm a fag, yeah. Let's fucking talk about total nonsense, troll and shit. Put a bunch of smiley faces, and they draw the first blood. They, you know, these fucking people, man.
It's like
If I
until
call
those
somebody
people start
shit,
making content.
same with Greg, man. He's like, I'll dish it. You can't take it. I'll dish it, but you can't take it. They'll dish it, but they can't take it. But then, you know, they cry when they freaking hurt their feelings. But that's all they do is try to fucking, you know.
I don't know, man. This shit
Unethical.
thing about the chat for me. I don't know.
Yeah, me neither.
We clean. Look, our chat's been clean tonight, man.
Yeah.
Anybody saying some dumb shit? This fucking faggot sock account fucker came in. Oh, I'm truth. I'm a lying sack of shit account. You know, fucking deleted his comment. I was like, "Where's your real channel?" He's like, "This is it." Then your girl fucking deleted that because he's a lying sack of shit. So, chat's been awesome.
Yeah. I mean, there's been lots of great talk going back and forth for sure.
You don't give them no momentum to fucking pull their bullshit. They take it over, and it's like a fucking nightmare. Like, I mean, HT's chat was, I was like getting banned. I'm like, fuck you, like, man, it's fucking bullshit.
Well, I mean, if you're, and I want to say one thing too, that if you're like coming on somebody's channel and you're like talking shit about their content, then it's like, go make your own and like do it differently, and you know, and fucking.
I talk shit about fucking Indians. 2 freaking 20 seconds worth of content of his little Buddha statues, the thick Indian accent. What did I make fun of? What HT's content?
No, I was just speaking in general, man. And I'm just saying, you know, like, I don't know. I don't start be fucking loud about this shit.
Yeah, dude. These fucking people are paid, man. These people are fucking.
I mean, I want to go out to the fucking Air Force Base out here, man. Start putting some BDS, you know, doing some BDS activism and shit. Trying to wake up some some Air Force people. Maybe just go into like the fucking, you know, restaurants that they go to at lunchtime and fucking talking some shit to them, you know.
Yes, I should start my
Talking some real stuff to them, man. Just trying to reach out, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right, man. It's
got a community backing you to get your back, you know? It's like, shit's fucking destabilized. It's fucked. It's get whitey. You know, our shit's getting genocided and we're not even getting treated with any fucking sympathy at all.
And, man, they should.
Who thinks next?
We don't need sympathy, man.
These motherfuckers are next. Once we're gone, that's it. They're fucked. They're fucked.
We don't need sympathy, man. We need a stiff upper lip. We need to take it back, you know, and we really need our women to take a hold of it and to do the right thing. You know, that's where the pleading should be at first. You know, we need to plead with our women to do the right thing because honestly, you know, and we all know that's where it is. They're not doing the right thing.
How can you be anti-white?
And it's not all of them. Some of them are.
How can you be J-woke and anti-white at the same time? I don't get that. I don't see how that.
Yeah, you can't be.
Well, how can you know, it goes either way, man. You know, like with the alt-right fucking boy talking shit. Like, they're not making any fucking connections. They're not waking any people up. They're just fucking, you know, calling everybody else out and
they're in the shadows of gatekeepers.
Having a fucking, I don't know, like a bitch fest show for guys.
Right? Well,
some leaders, man. Doomguard, I'd like to see him become a leader. Fucking
gossip is a female trait, man. It really is. And it's like, you've been so fucking emasculated by these fuckers that, like, I don't know.
We thrive on gossip.
Right? Well, and social media, man.
Yep.
Social engineering.
Yeah, and you know that TMZ, man, I can't believe that that's honestly primetime television. That just gets me, man. They celebrate everything that's freaking wrong,
Right.
you know, and put it on prime time because the cocksucker's a Jew lawyer.
We need like a
I think
24-hour Jew show.
channel bashing that freaking thing.
Right. We need a show like that where we just highlight all these atrocities that they do against us. You know.
Daily, yeah.
Stream.
I want that T-shirt money, Adam. I want 50%.
Right. I want to see that fucking Goyim Defense League fucking building. You know. I want to see the office. I want to see this shit like, you know, move from just ideas into something that's, you know, tangible. We can all benefit from.
Yeah, man, there needs to be a protection act for the Caucasoid European race, man. It's an endangered fucking species at this point. You know, any freaking civil human being, like most white people that are probably, the bald eagle, fucking praying mantises, whatever, endangered fucking species, right? Bees, keep spraying chemtrails, you're gonna fucking kill off the bees and we're all fucked. No pollination, you fucking die. There's no fucking food.
Yep. And the Jews have been in control since World War II. You know, our forefathers rescued them punks from Hitler's grasp, whatever was going on, and whatever you want to believe, and then they turned on us and they enslaved our forefathers' kids. Hey, thank you for pulling us out of slavery. Now you're our slaves.
Same thing they did to the Russians, man. That's our fucking future.
History repeat, and we're gonna turn to South Africa, pretty much. Look at that. That's what's coming for us. Look at Europe. That's what's coming. It's already here. Every time I go to the grocery store, I'm like, it's an invasion. These motherfuckers everywhere taking my creamer. I go to the fucking store. I can't even get my fucking creamer because these fucking invaders, man. And how'd they get that nice ass car? I'm driving a beater piece of shit. I've got money. I should just, splurge on a nice car, but I'm not gonna do it because I'm not a retard. You should be able to get a fucking whatever, man.
Hitler fought a lot of people. I'm responding to shit in chat. I don't know if you guys
they don't assimilate. There should be. You gotta like re-educate these people on how to act and have fucking white values or whatever. It's just values, man. It's fucking people. It's all.
I think all demographics in America serve the Jew at the end of the day, man. We can't address.
How about this? How about this?
Until that's. How about this? It's not like we can plead to the Jew to help us with.
How about this?
Race relations or anything like that. They fucking, they've weaponized everybody against each other, man.
Yep.
I mean, I think in Europe it's a different thing, man. There's fucking invaders coming in they fucking blew up their homes with our fucking military, and that shit is beyond imaginable because they're fucking raping all the women and fucking breeding them out of existence and fucking just taking over whole cities and shit. And everybody's looking at us to do something about it because they're all fucking cucked out, have no guns or any control of anything. It's like we're sitting over here fucking, got black people saying they're the real Jews or joining up with the libtards or, and then white people joining up with the fucking lib cucks and or joining with the fucking alt-right fucking
Good night, Velvet.
Diversion.
Jews don't want the money because money's debt. We think money's money, which it ain't shit. It ain't been money since they stole the fucking gold. Money's debt. Your fucking signature is the highest form of currency. Once we learn that shit, once we learn how to fucking use remittances, discharging, set off, and become bankers, and we could pay for this fucking infrastructure to keep this shit up to snuff. You can't pay for it with your private fucking money. You shouldn't be paying bills with your private fucking money. No, there is no money, so you can only discharge shit. It's people don't like to hear that because they're fucking spending shitloads of money on fucking bills. But
Need a debt
Guys
jubilee.
watching chat.
The modern day diaspora.
Cry about debt. You just discharge the fucking debt, man. You're crying about the debt. It's done. It's not real. You discharge it. That's It says it on the fucking money. This is you know, debt instrument.
I mean, really nothing short of a fucking full-scale revolution at this point would even suffice, but that's not even feasible until we get enough people woke up to this shit.
Man, you could discharge your debt. Just when we spend money, they should take it out of circulation. That's what they used to do. I don't do that anymore. And how do we buy any? We can't have property because we don't have lawful money. You need fucking lawful money. There's federal notes.
But they're not allowed to take counterfeit money. A bank is not allowed to take or give counterfeit money for you to buy a piece of property either, and they do. That's another way you can argue a court case.
When you buy property.
And a guy has won, a few people have won their court cases from their houses being foreclosed on because they proved that the money that was used was all counterfeit.
Yeah, literally counterfeit, or it was like literal money, like Jew printed
It
up
was
money?
all money. It was all zeros and ones in a computer. There was no money involved.
Or was it no money because it wasn't legal government notes or whatever? Like there's old federal, whatever the fuck. There's, the real note. They're worth more money, and they're fucking. I don't know if you got to ask for them at the bank or what, demand them. You say, I want to be paid in this fucking money, or else,
Right. You can ask them for gold or silver too, man. You're supposed to be able to when you go to a bank and get your money.
Just the breakdown of the word mortgage is that's all you got to do is to find out what that means. And you don't own shit. You got to get an alluvial title. We paid for fucking a house. We allegedly own it. You're the tenant. You're the fucking tenant. Doesn't mean you own jack shit. If you don't have an alluvial title, don't own the fucking mineral rights. You can't own land. They passed the Civil Rights Act. You can't own private property because these fuckers tricked us. Started the NAACP by a Jew. Tricked the dumb blacks. Tricked the dumb whites. Gave up our fucking rights. Lowered our status. Gave these fuckers status above us or equal to us or, whatever you want to call it. 3/4 of a person. Now they're freaking, but they did that shit back in the 1800s, right? With the fucking that Jew bill shit, right? What the fuck?
Yep.
What am I even talking about?
I was saying that last night. Yeah, we used to have protections in place against these people. They couldn't serve public office, man. Couldn't get in positions of power.
They gotta seize their fucking assets, man.
That was dummying us down.
Bribe everybody. Be like, look, man, we're gonna give you fucking whatever you want. Whatever you want, houses, whatever, fucking a city, whatever. We gotta have segregation and whatever, man. Fucking calculate all the money we give to Israel. You could take that and split it up amongst fucking the people, the indigenous people here, people that have been here for 10, 20 years, 50 years, whatever. Take care of your fucking elderly. We shit on the elderly. We don't even respect the elderly. We're just like, yeah, fuck you, old fucker. Kids are brats. Arrogant little fuckers, They think the sky's been all chemmed up freaking since they've, been brought into the world. They don't know a blue sky. They don't remember shit. They're just fucking zombies, man. Yeah, kill off elderly.
Someone said something about taking control of our media, man. I don't know, man. Obviously, it starts at home with your family, man. Just rejecting all this shit.
Right.
But, I mean, everybody's fucking engineered to reject their culture, man. I mean, because they... and adopt someone else's culture, black culture and white culture. I mean, all these kids fucking talking black and it's just crazy, man. I mean, it didn't used to be, didn't used to be so, culturally fucked, man. Like, I mean, you look at like videos from the 80s and early 90s, man, like people dressed the same and people weren't really against each other as much, man. I mean, they have this coverage of all this fucking, I don't know, of all this stereotypical fucking nonsense, man, that people can just react to. When in actuality, if these people weren't on our fucking backs, man, we would live in our own homes and be fine, man. I mean, they push this fucking utopia on us, man, and we live in this hell. And the only option that the fucking left thinks is to just fucking integrate and fucking become one race, you know, so that they can fucking Haitian their Moshiach and rule us from Israel, man.
But Mr. Nye, if we mix all the colors together, then we're mixing all the colors.
I mean, they've already. It's been such a gradual process. We were talking about the other day, like white people don't even identify with their cultures. Neither do black people, man. Like they reject all that shit. They make fun of it. They make fun of it on TV, man. Like fucking, all the, all the cultural norms for black people, even, like in Africa, like their customs and shit like that, and make them seem third world. And then same thing with whites. They fucking highlight all of our anything bad we've ever done in history, and I mean, people like fucking this white guilt bullshit that people have.
Fucking Jews did, not us.
Right? Yeah, slavery, fucking done by the Jews. It's pitted on the white man, and it's exacerbated every year in Hollywood, in Black History Month, and all these fucking indoctrinating things that are untrue, beyond untrue, and it only seeks to benefit them in getting us to fucking be off, fighting each other, fighting other slaves.
How does this,
slaves?
How does the civil, area, culture, whatever, get along with people that are fucking emotionally
We're not fucking civilized anymore, man.
The blacks are
No,
weaponized.
we're not civilized.
Weaponized, though, man. Whites aren't fucking coming up with practical solutions. They're all cucked out to Trumpstein.
Yep. They're looking for
until he signs
someone to step up and do it for them.
All this fucking false hope. It's the same thing the blacks have with Obama.
Make Pat Little sign a document that's binding to the people.
I mean, the Trump cucks want better things for sure. It's still false hope at the end of the day.
Right, man. You want change, you need to start with yourself. Ain't nobody gonna do it for you.
To make our people we vote in sign contracts to make them binding. We can tar and feather at their asses or fucking.
Right. There needs to be some kind of document that they sign, like the pledge they do to Israel after that shit gets, nixed and it's done. I mean, that's what was done before, man. The anti-Mason party and shit like that. There used to be other parties that addressed these fucking hideous fucks.
They're like guided by fucking, dark shit, man. They communicate with demons or something.
Right? I was just gonna say, in that.
Let me address this real quick. Sorry, go ahead. Finish what you're
saying. In that blood libel movie, though, I didn't go too deep into it. It was like an hour long or some shit, 100 minutes long, but we talked about how, it was all to do with magic and shit, and they fucking used that as another manipulative tactic to push their satanic agenda. But you see them pushing all this magic, Harry Potter and all this bullshit, and it's the Christians that are like reacting bad to it. So is the fucking Christians that are so closed-minded and closed off. But
thank you, baby Jesus.
That shit ties right into their Satanism, man.
Yeah, man. Who fucking knows, dude? Who knows, man? Who knows? We're all getting played. Fucking duped. Cats are fighting.
Yeah.
We're all pawns. We're all fucking pawns in the game. We're on their fucking platform. So, whatever. HT, if he's a fucking whatever, he's done more good than fucking. I don't know, man. We've been censored forever, dude. I mean, fucking before the alt-right shit. I've watched people get banned for fucking years, man. All kinds of small channels that started to grow, and they just got Jude and Show It and banned. They're just like, fuck this. What do you can't compete with all these gatekeeper channels that are platformed and grow, and they get all fucking kinds of money and check rolls, and it's like,
right, you ain't blaming all that on HT.
And they got troll armies. Every fucking movement has a fucking web of gatekeepers and trolls. Fucking sick on you. You should be able to buy fucking trolls on YouTube and fucking sick them on people.
I'm actually paid to get low info Q-tards to come in here and kind of rally up the chat. I just wanted to disclose that to you guys.
You paid
That's-
Q-tards.
Dino, I like Dino's shtick, man. Even though he's cock, we let him know, man. We let him know. I mean, I don't know. Seems like I like Arnell, even though he's some like they're fucking funny, man. But they can stop if they become leaders and kick these fucking gatekeeper losers that ain't done shit but fucking nothing but be fucking bags and freaking admit to being Jews and these people. Oh, I don't know what the fuck these people are thinking. These people
Right.
are pro-white, but they're worshiping fucking Zionists, man. Idiots.
Yeah.
Right. Like they're white too, even though they, seek to destroy us and distinctly identify as not white.
Yeah, they're white when they're on trial, and when they're fucking shit up, they're acting white when they're doing dirt and our name.
That's how deracinated we are. That we just identify with any motherfucker that looks like us. 'Cause we reject our culture.
We don't even know our culture, man. Our culture is so fucking rich. You have no fucking clue all the shit.
Well, we've rejected it for so long, it's become a tradition.
No idea. Fucking, it's so sad to read white kids. They go, I'm ashamed to be white. I hate being white. I hate that I'm white. Everybody hates white people. Everybody knows whites are evil. Everybody knows whites are this, whites are... It's just fucking just... it's so fucked up.
At one time here in America, all these holidays were having on pagan ritual days or whatever you want to call it. They wasn't on the same Monday and like they are now.
Oh,
the
right.
government intentionally moved all of our holidays to pagan days. I mean, we had them on other dates that were significant to the Christians, and slowly the government moved them all. We used to celebrate John F. Kennedy Day, and another president, and then we moved them all on one day. And they use the excuse, and it was a pagan ritual day or a pagan holiday or whatever you want to call it. But they use the excuse, oh, well, it's for the work days. It makes the work days easier. So you can have 3 days off in the week or on the weekend, So they put them all on Mondays. That was part of taking our identity away.
Yeah, there's a freaking E-Juice recipe book on eBay. It's fucking funny as shit. It's got the Happy Merchant on it, all greasy looking. It's funny as shit. Like, how's this shit on eBay, man? It's not banned. It's funny. Babylon. Yeah, dude, they're the cult of Sodom, man. Now they're the cult of Sodom. They're a bunch of fucking fagolas.
Now that's the whole world, man. At this moment, it looks like to me is the cult of Sodom.
Right? Bag if you're not a bag.
Chasing that Jew money, man. They want to emulate these people.
And we're loving every minute of it with their
They
little
want you to
shiny
sin.
toys.
They want you to sin. You put on a dress, you fucking sin.
Yep.
Sin, you eat aborted fetal cells, you're fucking probably sinning.
Right. Well, it just comes down to what people would do for money in any level in life, man. Really, most people.
I'm just doing my job, man. I'm just doing my job. Get in that FEMA camp, bitch. I'm just doing my job, man.
Right.
They train them. They fucking desensitize these fuckers. It's like, I'm your neighbor. I'm your neighbor. They fucking desensitize these fucking people. Like, the cops are they're just all in the red. They're like, this person's trying to kill me. Some fucking 90-year-old lady that's harmless. I just seen some bitch get tased. Some 7-year-old lady, fucking scream this fucking dirty pig. Fucking Masonic.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
real
that's a good
world
point, Mark.
training too.
Fucking some old lady.
Mark's got a hell of a point there.
Bro. Don't tase me, Gary D. Bonenbug.
Right.
That's
Mark said the devil can only tempt, not force. It is we who force each other. It's true, man.
They put up blood.
They're never responsible for it because it's just like they
We
push
do it
us.
for
and then-
ourselves. Yep.
Yeah, right. They plant the seed and then it, we let it grow inside of us.
Yep. And you know, that's what our job is here too, you know, just to plant them seeds of freedom. Christ.
I haven't used money really. I mean, I've used money, but I haven't like fucking gone. I've changed with the fucking money shit. I used to, you know, I don't know, man. I used to have like guides or something, man, that were like guiding me, and fucking, I just got everything was awesome. I had money and fucking, I don't know. It's probably because the Jews propped the system up. It's probably what it really was, but it feels like I had guides or some, you know, spiritual guides or some shit. I just
God, man. God.
went around and did my thing and had fucking money, and you know, and now I got morals and shit. Now I'm like fucking. It hasn't done me any favors, man. Like, don't, you know, fucking don't. I don't know.
It doesn't, man. It really doesn't. Having morals and going against the norm, man, is always a bad thing. You always pay for it.
That's how you when you're over the target, man.
Just being a money treadmill, piece of money. I don't know, man. There's.
We're not of this world, man. We're not like them.
That's true. That's what he said. He said, "You don't know me because you're not of me."
Yep. Exactly.
Everybody likes rooting for the underdog. It's crazy, man. What? It's like, how do you get there to fucking people, man? You need like deprogramming centers, de-guilting fucking centers. You need re-education centers. You need fucking, you know, you need old movies of how shit used to be, old footage of how shit used to be.
Re-education centers. Now you're talking like a Jew.
before freaking communism and tobacco.
That's what scares me about the right, man.
After fucking, I mean, dude, yeah, it'd be all wholesome and shit. It'd be like fucking, you know, a bunch of freaking awesome white ladies, all nice. It wouldn't be like old crazy bitches with rollers, big fucking Sephardic Jew-nose bitches fucking with the rollers, you know, all crazy and shit. Nuns, crazy fucking, I don't know, man. Who knows? I don't fucking know.
It's just like the butterfly effect, man. If we get enough people to just plant those seeds, man, and just really get out there and fucking start talking shit, man. Not you know, but like doing it.
Paying it forward. Yeah. Paying it forward's a good thing too, along with that.
Right?
Wherever I threw out that. Anyway.
Dude, I've been given and I've never gotten shit. I've never expected shit. I don't know, I'm like waiting for my big karmic freaking, I don't know, I think this year, I don't know, I think my astrology lines up with this year too. It's like I've been through a lot of fucked up bullshit for too long. I've had some fucked up things said, you gotta do this or your shit's gonna be all fucked up for a while. Like, get out of your fucking situation.
Talk to freedom. You should talk to Influence Freedom, man.
Fuck.
She's really intelligent in that stuff.
Yeah, I'll talk to her a little bit. Fuck. Discord.
And she's got some really nice points too. I hope no one writes her off.
Dude, oh man,
we used to go to stars at one time. Everything was about the stars at one time.
Trying to teach people the code so they don't get brainwashed by the fucking bullshit.
Right. You know, and she's definitely onto something in her work.
They show you the code once you know how to read it. You don't get a victim of it, and you know, can see it.
That's how they manipulate the cultures, you know, for countless, you know, centuries before, is, you know, having the control of, you know, of predicting fucking eclipses and stuff like that, and star formations, and where constellations are going to be.
Yeah, well, hey man, age of majority, dude. Go claim your shit fucking tomorrow, man. Be like, go get some witnesses. I don't know, man. I'm still trying to figure out how to fucking do it, because you gotta distance yourself from that name. You fucking, all right, you want to go sign some document? Where's your fucking ID, right? They want some fucking ID, right? Well, how do you get around that? You gotta have some fucking witnesses. Who's gonna be your witnesses? Who's got balls enough to fucking put their fucking hand down? Nobody. Bunch of fucking pussies. People don't want to fucking get out the system or help anybody else get out the fucking system. Man, pull your ass down like crabs in a bucket.
Hey.
Trigger.
Hey, why don't we get Mark on here? Well, we'll let Mark come on. Mark, you want to come on?
Is he black? Is he a Weewas Gangs?
I don't know. I don't care what color he is.
Is he an Aussie? Is he a melanated person?
Mark, if you want to come on, man.
I might be an Aussie. I don't know. I think he's an Aussie by his name.
That's all right. I mean, he hasn't said nothing controversial in his things, and he sounds like he's pretty intelligent.
Yeah. Like he's initiated.
Trying to like stay on, you know, mostly.
It's like, yeah, man, we're fucking. It's our fault. It's our all fault. Fucking, you know, we've given up our rights. We've consented to all this shit. You get a, you know, a registration. It means to beg. You know, you give up your rights when you get a job. You give up your rights. You contract with the government. Take your fucking taxes. Take your money. Do a legal for hire. You get paid under the table, and they have to fucking offer that. But people don't do it because they're fucking dumb.
Did you end the stream?
What?
He accidentally ended the stream. Throw another link in Discord when you get it back up.
I think I got it.
Oh, okay.
Pull it.
Pull it. There he is. What up?
I don't know if it closed out the video. There's still.
I'm still seeing you on the page, on the YouTube
Was
page.
it the fucking dude? Did you do it, or was it? Do you know you did it accidentally, or did you? Are you not sure you ended it? Are you sure you ended it?
No, it's back on.
But I mean, are you sure you ended it?
No, it's going.
Cool,
still.
man. You're welcome here anytime, dude.
Yeah, Mark, you should come on sometime. That'd be cool.
Definitely. We need to take responsibility for our actions, man.
Yeah.
And that should be HT's message also. Jews are who they are. The Bible tells us, you know, that they're going to do this all through it.
Right.
We're supposed to use our wits and not get caught up in their crap, and we have. We've let them do it. We've given it to them. We've handed it to them.
I mean,
same way Aerosmith handed the mic, the rock and roll mic, to Run DMC with "Walk This Way."
Right.
It's baby shit.
Well, it's so easy to, like, you know, act like, you know, reflect what other people are doing because, you know, they're playing into the hand of these subverters. But I mean, it's harder to, like, introspectively look at yourself and change yourself to reflect what you want for the future instead of becoming an animal to fight the animal that's attacking you. I don't know. I mean, for me, it's even like self-reflection, you know, like sometimes with, you know, in these forums and stuff, like it's just kind of that groupthink mentality, you know, even like me, I don't cuss that much normally, but like, you know, getting around people just like, just kind of becomes, I don't know.
Secondhand nature. Yeah, me too. Actually, no, I cuss up a storm. I'm like a sailor, always have been.
Yeah. I don't know, man. But, you know,
I'm trying to be chilly tonight, though. I've
you know,
watched
the
myself
vulgar
tonight.
people, man, are, you know, you see like the Sarah Silverman, and it's like, I don't know, man. It's the culture that they push, and it's not like conducive to like having a strong family dynamic and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I'm not trying to preach to anybody else, but I'm just saying, you know, like that's how they get people. That's why, you know, I don't know. That's why they've always like been held at bay in societies and kept in ghettos and stuff like that because they were practice pharmakia, you know, like drugs, pushing drugs on people and pushing alcohol on people and stuff like that, and trying to tempt people into
it's fucked up, man.
They've done it for centuries, man.
They had people addicted to that shit. They had their fucking paycheck by the end of the month. They had their fucking land, farm, and shit. Fucking not too long after that, yeah, these cocksuckers are, you know, the devil's offspring, no doubt about it. I mean, it's just insane. Just read that fucking Andrew Carrington Hitchcock. Could take you through the fucking last 100 or whatever, 300 fucking years, man, or longer. And it's just them doing all this just fucking just sickest, dirtiest dirtbag shit, man. You know, the Titanic. Well, this is all separate from what he's fucking talking about. But, you know, they took over the fucking insurance game. These fucking people, man,
are crazy too, because a lot of the people that died on there were opposing the Fed.
They're gonna be crushed by the weight of their own injustices.
Right. You think they would have already happened by now.
Yeah, Pizzagate. Pizzagate is the last fucking straw for me, man. That shit is just.
Yeah, I don't get people, man.
That's what got me off Facebook, man. I'm just like couldn't do it anymore. Fuck you, motherfuckers.
Yeah,
right.
People are lost all there. My brother tries to get people woke to fucking, you know, what they're worshiping falsely. Model. And I'm like, dude, you're wasting your time, dude. It's all zombies on there. It's all Facebook fucking Zog book. It's freaking social engineering. They put these people through experimental type shit.
Right.
Fucking drive traffic or, you know, say, you know, if you believe this, they're going to want you to believe this. Some, you know, the opposite. No fucking, it's all a testing ground, basically. And they're like,
dopamine driven feedback loop.
All your personal information. Yeah, that's, yeah, it's fucked up too, man. That's definitely, yeah.
Just crazy what they've like engineered us to get gratification from, like nothing, you know. Not creating anything, not making anything.
The secret's out, right? All these kids that watch these celebrities and shit, they do live streams, whatever the fuck. I like, you know, all Illuminati out. They're doing all the symbolism and shit. Fucking blatant as fuck. They're, you know, shit. That Katy Perry video is like straight up mind control, man. She hits the button. It's all zombie fucking shit. It's like triggered MK fucking alter. It's just blatant as all hell. Even the Guns N' Roses video from like fucking 25 years ago, it's like a cry for help. Britney Spears, her cry for help, one of her videos, and her fucking fans are oblivious. Oh, we love you, you fucking mind control bitch. Switching fucking accents and shit. Fucking switching alters. It's just crazy. Living fucking... I don't know, man. This is hell. I think this is fucking hell, man. What the fuck? This is hell.
Man, the beast.
Heaven's up there somewhere. We need to get up to the fucking floating mountain or something. I don't know.
That's why I played that game, Superman. You know, man, because there's gonna be an end to this shit one day. You know, whether we see it on Earth or not. Those motherfuckers are not gonna be on the other side.
Zoom weights are on, and then they get their fucking Antichrist or some shit when weights are gone.
Right.
That little 6 million number comes from, it's their fucking, it's their, I don't know. Who knows, man? Maybe they're feeding demons. They sure as hell sacrifice all these fucking people. Military. Pentagram them up in the pentagram garb. Go sacrifice them on some fucking meridian ley line that other people have died in the past on, fought wars on. The death grid, they call it, I think. You know, like these, I don't know, man, somebody said they're feeding an entity, like picture an entity, a big fat fucking entity at the all-you-can-eat buffet or some shit. Like, I don't know, man. I think that, you know, hey, they funded that fucking Rick Strassman DMT study where they shot a bunch of fucking Mexicans up with fucking intravenous IV dimethyltryptamine and retarded fucking doses. Who just, you know, fucking horrific doses, I'm sure. And they were having all kinds of fucked up experiences. And who funded that? The Masons. Because they didn't have the balls to do it, because they're pussies. Even though they freaking talk about going through different fucking archetypal people that are garden doors, and you gotta know their name or their fucking, I don't know. Maybe it's all bullshit.
That kind of stuff, man, is how, I mean, at least for me, for my research, man, is how I know it's spiritual, man. No, I mean, this is a fucking spiritual battle, man. You know?
Fuck yeah, it is. Ridiculous. And then you got spiritual hygiene. People don't even fucking know about this shit.
I think that's...
You got some sick fucker around your coffin, spray some essential oil, and, you know, put your mind at ease.
Well, there's so much misdirection from having like a sense or an intuition about the spiritual realm, but I mean, you look at all the misdirection with the fucking and the programming, predictive programming, whatever you want to call it, with the alien agenda. I mean, these visitations and all that shit used to be like a spiritual thing for centuries and hundreds of thousands of years before that. It never was documented as any kind of other thing. It was always some kind of spiritual thing. When you look into like all these visitations now and shit, it like predominantly happens to Christians, like spiritual attacks and shit like that, like actual devout Christians. And I mean, like I said, man, like they make it seem like it's magical and mystical and it's cool and there's just like it's all good, you know.
What, like fucking Ouija boards and shit? What do you mean? Like fucking what, the Crowley books and shit? I've heard some.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, these people believe in it. Like whether people get turned off by it or think it's just like some hoopla, you know, that they fucking have gotten people to think like that. But I mean, these people do the sacrifices. These people believe in Satan. These people, you know, believe in Solomon's demons and entities like that and shit like that. So I mean, it's like anything else, man. Like until you really look into it, like you put it out of your mind, you know, you can go with the comforting like illusion, but at the end of the day, like I said, these people believe this shit, man, and they get gratification from it, and we are under spiritual attack.
Yeah. So what do we fucking do, man? Get people.
I mean, I think it starts with like, you know,
if we're all fucked up, what good are we? I'm all fucked up. I've been trying to fucking heal myself for fucking I don't know how many years. 15, 20 fucking years. I'm 15 years, 5 years. So I don't know how many years, man. But
I don't know.
It burns out. I'm fucking. I don't know, man. I'm ready to just. I need a vacation.
I don't know. I think it just like it goes back into what we were saying earlier, man. It starts with changing who you are, man. And really care about the future of humanity, man, then start fucking treating humanity like you care.
How do you prepare? I can't even have a fucking.
I'm not speaking directly to you, man. I'm like speaking in general to myself, even. You know, it's like that. We gotta, you know, treat these people that we're waking up, you know, and like help these people and fucking, I don't know, not and see it beyond political, ideological, racial lines, and realize that the Jew, at the end of the day, keeps us in this fucking fucked up East that we live under, man.
Yeah, it's pretty retarded. Unnecessary suffering. I'm like, why the fuck? All this shit, everybody's mutated, modified from eating garbage. You go to fucking Walmart if you ever go to that fucking nightmare. I hate going there. I don't want to stand in fucking line and get everybody fucking
auto shop there, man.
Utilize me and shit. I'm like, ooh, like motherfucker. You know, it's like just a fight waiting to happen. I'll go in there like I don't give a fuck how I look. So what the hell? I don't see the chat moving. Is this I'm in the wrong fucking what's going on? Yeah, I'm in the old one. But I reloaded it because it's a new video, I guess. Yeah. Alright. Now it's gonna fucking what the fuck.
I might close it out.
My voice, man. You gonna end it? You gonna pull it?
I might Larry Silverstein it.
Yeah. I hate my voice. I'm about to get a voice fucking something.
I don't know, but I might close it out with this fucked up video, man. This short one from like the 80s.
Like the fucking music, huh? You're like, fuck
preface
that.
it, man. Yeah. This video, or you know, abortion and shit, it wasn't always part of our culture. And look where it came from, man. It was like Solomon, and it was some demonic shit, man. When humans started aborting babies inside the womb. And you, yeah, I mean, it goes back to that. It goes back that far. And probably even further, but I know human sacrifice goes back further, but I'm talking about like aborting babies like in the womb. Yeah, man. I mean, you look at who pushed this shit in America, and it was all these fucking Crowleyites and all these Frankfurt School sick fucks, man. Right out of the Weimar Republic in Germany. I mean, they're all connected. They're all sick, man. And yeah. Are you there, Jolly?
I am now.
What's up, man?
Sorry, man. I went to get me a drink.
Oh, you're good, man. I think I might
want
close
to
it out.
interrupt. All right, cool.
Close it out here with the video. Thanks for stopping by, guys.
Yep. Thanks for having me, man.
Thanks for chatting, spiritual.
Yeah. Fuck the trolls, son.
Fuck the trolls, you know it. We ain't trolling here. Night, y'all.
Night, man.
America today is involved in another desperate conflict. Much of the action takes place behind the scenes, set in clinics, homes, and hospitals. Many Americans aren't even aware of the struggle, so brace yourself, because before this film is over, you will visit the bloody fields of battle. You'll meet the people involved in the fighting on both sides, which includes some of the most influential figures in America today. And perhaps for the first time, you'll understand the reasons behind their struggle. Our story concerns abortion and began, strangely enough, in this relatively peaceful suburb of Los Angeles. Melvin Weisberg, a pathologist, owned a large storage container which he kept in his backyard. When he failed to make the final 2 payments, it was repossessed.
We made a decision to repossess it because his check did not clear the bank. And so we sent the truck out to pick up the container.
I rolled out there and took the box up and started pulling it up. And it was so heavy, it's just it broke the winch. And we couldn't get it off the trailer, so we had to leave it on the trailer because it was too heavy. So I was asked by Nick to have a crew go down and unload the container at the other yard.
I got a radio call that from Ron Gillette, the foreman. And he said the men were throwing up and there was something really wrong.
One of them fell down and hit me right in front of my feet. And it was opened up, and there it was. It was a mutilated body. And the more closer I looked at it, it was a human body. And when I came to work the following day, I saw it myself. I couldn't believe it. And just little bitty babies, just all torn to pieces. Their heads chopped off, arms, legs, it just makes you sick to see something like that. Well, really, it's just, it makes you want to cry when you see something like that.
Starting at the very front of this container, it was just wall clear to the ceiling and clear to the sides, filled with them. I really don't want to witness it again. Not what I saw.
Well, as the supervisor for the County of Los Angeles, we found out through the media that 17,000 infants had been stored in a container. So we asked for an investigation by the district attorney and the coroner's office. We found approximately 190 were over 20 weeks of age. I think some as long as old as 25, 27 weeks.
Mr. Antonovich contacted Mr. Gutierrez.
Glenn Wong is a funeral director for a major Los Angeles mortuary.
Asked us to go ahead and handle the burial of the fetuses. How I came involved was they were asking if it were possible to have anyone photograph these fetuses, and I so happened to be also a photographer.
How many fetuses were actually involved in the autopsies?
There were approximately about 44, if I'm correct.
And why were the autopsies performed?
They were to find out why, or what was the reason of the cause of death.
That wasn't apparent?
Apparently not. No, I've seen some of these fetuses, and believe me, they were apart. But there were some where the eyes were bulging, and some where the chest cavity was ripped open. I do remember one where I saw a hand and the feet all apart. So it was kind of like the hands were intact, the feet were intact, and everything else was more like just a little potpourri, a little of everything. And that was it. That kind of turned me.
Here we see the abortionist stretching the cervix very wide open.
Dr. John Wilkie, who with his wife Barbara authored The Handbook on Abortion, described the dilation and extraction method used to abort many of the fetuses.
Without any anesthetic, the abortionist reaches up into the womb and seizes part of the body of the baby, usually a leg or an arm, twisting and tearing, tears it off and away from the body of the baby. The baby, feeling pain, does not have any anesthetic. Bleeding is extreme. The abortionist returns in there with this grasping pliers-like instrument, tearing more parts of the body away, snapping the spine, and finally the mechanical problem is to get the skull out, and so he usually has to crush the skull in order to bring it out.
We had a court order that we would allow us to bury these infants, being a humane act. And the ACLU comes in again saying that this is just tissue. We want to incinerate them, and there's no need for a burial. Because if you had a burial, somehow that's going to create a problem. Problem for whom?
And at that time, I think everybody there realized this was wrong, that it was really wrong. Everybody standing there felt that way. Even the coroner's office, I could sense that they were treating this like they were dead people, and they are dead people. That's the way everybody treated it. Evidently, the ACLU doesn't feel that way. And then transferred it all into to the original container, and as I understand, it's still up in a county yard someplace.
Is it refrigerated?
No, it's in a steel container.
And how long, do you have any idea how long it'll be there?
I don't know, but it's been 2 years now, so who knows?
Although the discovery of 17,000 fetuses in a trash container is not an everyday occurrence, it is an event that should surprise no one. For every 3 days, an equivalent number of fetal children are disposed of in this country. 17,000.
Jews of Hama murdered a Mohammedan girl and were expelled from the city. 1839, a Jewish-owned flask of blood passed through the customs house of Beirut. In 1840, one of the most notorious ritual murders in modern times occurred, when a Catholic priest by the name of Father Thomas was ritually murdered. This was described in depth in Sir Richard Francis Burton's original manuscript, but not in the notes that were used for the book The Jew, the Gypsy, and El Islam. Fortunately, newspaper clippings and other books now tell this grisly tale in full. The New York Herald of April 6, 1850 reported the case on its front page under the title, Mysteries of the Talmud, Terrible Murder in the East. The article, which is relatively long, describes the vicious murder of Father Thomas. Who would have dreamt of beholding the bloody mysteries of the Talmud exposed in their turn, and of having the trial of one of the most savage and ferocious murders ever yet recorded in the annals of criminality, once more brought before the public? Who would have imagined that certain fanatics used human blood to moisten their holy, unleavened bread? Our readers will undoubtedly recollect the universal sensation created throughout the world by the discovery of Father Tommaso, a Christian missionary from Sardinia, and his servant Abraham Amara. They had both been bled to death, their limbs chopped off joint by joint, their bones pounded in the mortar, and their mutilated remains thrown into a drain in the city of Damascus. The manuscripts of the original trial, as sealed by the French and Austrian councils of that city, are now in the city We can therefore defy the great nation to contradict the truth of our statements. Mustafa Talas, who has a doctorate in history and is an attorney, went to the difficult task of obtaining the original transcripts of the investigation and records from France, where Father Thomas was a citizen, and translating all these into English. He should be commended on his investigative work. He published all this in a book called Matzo of Sion, which is now being made into a movie and may have Omar Sharif, who played the lead role in the movie Dr. Zhivago, play the part of Father Thomas. Dr. Talas describes the investigation. The investigator said, "You have mentioned in your testimony that the Jews extracted the blood of Christians and used it to make bread. It is known by your belief that blood is not clean and is forbidden by your religion even when taken from lawfully slain animals. It is not lawful to use blood. There exists a contradiction between blood being impure and forbidden and that of its being lawful if taken from a Christian human being, especially to make bread for the holy day. Is there any logical or convincing proof that will explain this contradiction?" Al-Muslimani, who is a Jewish convert to Islam, answered, "The Talmud says that there are two kinds of blood pleasing to God, the blood of Passover and the blood of circumcision." Rabbi Yaakov, the head rabbi of Syria, added, "God loves two kinds of blood, the Passover sacrificial blood and the blood of circumcision." Investigator Shubli Ayub responded, "We do not understand very well how it is permissible to use human blood." Al-Muslimani answered, "The chief rabbis know by the codes given to them how and when it is permissible to use this blood." The Jewish writer Jonathan Frankel wrote the book, The Damascus Affair, that was supposed to counter Dr. Talas's book. Of course, it appears that Frankel's book doesn't reveal nearly as much about the incident as Dr. Talas's book, probably because Frankel might want to keep the truth of the event concealed. It is interesting to point out that two people independently of each other took investigators to the same place where the remains of Father Thomas were discovered, in the sewer behind a rabbi's home where hate-mongering Jews had reportedly put the priest's chopped-up remains. Just a decade after the Damascus incident in 1850 in New York City, reports were made of Jews murdering children. Approximately 100 irate Irishmen, accompanied by the local police, broke into a synagogue to save the victim. It's unclear whether they were able to save a child. In 1899, Jews allegedly ritually murdered Agnes Chudza of Polna. One of the culprits who purportedly murdered her was initially sentenced to death. A year later, in 1900, some fanatical Jews were said to have ritually murdered Ernst Winter. In 1911, Kiev, Russia, one of the most notorious Jewish ritual murders occurred. An innocent young child by the name of Andrei Yushinsky was discovered to have been killed for occult rites. Menachem Mendel Bailis was accused of being the perpetrator of the crime. Jews from around the world sought to conceal the true nature of the crime, and they spent over the equivalent of at least 115 million in today's money so that the Bailis team of lawyers would win the case. Several witnesses died under mysterious conditions prior to trial. Mishuk, a high-ranking police investigator, was proven to have planted false evidence to benefit Bailis. 3 innocent children who had been with Andrei and witnessed his abduction by Bailis were given pieces of cake by a scurrilous investigator named Krasovsky, and the next day all 3 became ill. 2 died as a result, and the 3rd was sick for months. The one who survived, Ludmila Cheberiak, said, "We started to ride the clay mixer. Suddenly, Bailis and 2 other Jews ran towards us. We jumped off the clay mixer and tried to run away. Andrei and my brother, Zhenya, were caught by Bailis and the other Jews, but my brother freed himself. The Jews then dragged Andrei away. My younger sister, Valentina, also saw this." John Grant, who was the American consulate stationed in Odessa, Russia, at the time, reported the jury's final verdict. Grant noted that it was determined by a jury that that a certain boy found cruelly murdered in Kiev had been killed by fanatical Jews, and that Jews, for occult purposes, had carefully drawn all blood from the dying child, that it was an instance of Jewish ritualistic murder, that Bailis was innocent. While it was proven to have taken place inside the synagogue at the Jewish-owned Zaitsev factory, the jury could not determine for certain that Bailis was the one who wielded the awl, causing Andrei to be punctured over 45 times around his body in an effort to procure as much blood as possible. If you look closely, and I realize it might be difficult, but if you look closely, you can see 13 puncture marks to the side of the child's cranium, which Jews reportedly did as part of some sort of ritual as a sacrifice so they could overthrow the Tsar. Vivi Rozanov, a popular Russian poet and writer at the time of the Bailis trial, wrote a book about the incident too. His book is called The Relation of Jews to Blood, and it tells how Hasidic Jews use blood in occult rites. Rosanov's book also describes the Kabbalistic mythology used in Yushinsky's murder by the Hasidic cult. In essence, the stab wounds were reportedly made in a ritualistic manner. A summation of Rosanov's findings shall follow. In the Kabbalah, there is a Sephirothic tree that is made up of 4 worlds. Pictured here is one world. Each world has 10 spheres, which are connected via 22 channels, with these channels corresponding to the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet. Going from Sephiroth 8, honor or glory, one would take channel 21, which corresponds to the Hebrew letter Shin, to arrive at Sephiroth 10, the kingdom. The letter Shin then implies that for Jews to use such symbology in the placement of stab wounds during their ritual murder, it is thus done to honor the Jewish deity and to attain the Jewish kingdom over the world. In Rosanov's book, he shows the Hebrew letters associated with the lower triangle of Sephiroths. Some of these other Sephiroths in the lower triangle are Sephiroth 7, victory, and Sephiroth 9, the world of elements. On page 225 of his book, Rozanov writes that the placement of the wounds on Yushinsky's head were actually a partial representation of the Sephirothic tree, represented most clearly by the proximity of the stab wounds, believed to be symbolic of the Hebrew letter Shin, which is at the bottom left. Here we see an illustration made by Rozanov that shows the placement of the wounds, with an overlay of the bottom triangle of the Sephiroth world for illustrative purposes. The photograph of the child Yushinsky is shown for comparative purposes. You may notice the bottom right section of Yushinsky's temple does have 5 wounds in close proximity that seem suggestive of this Hebrew letter Shin. Here is the picture of the Hebrew letter Shin for comparison. And here is a magnification of the wounds to Yushinsky's head, which Rozanov noted are the symbolic depiction of this letter. For illustrative purposes, small lines are drawn from the wounds, connecting them together to demonstrate how the Kabbalists interpret the symbolic nature of these wounds, according to Rozanov. Even an intelligent skeptic must admit that his findings certainly seem plausible. Shin is commonly used amongst Kabbalists, as shown in this picture of the Hebrew triad. It uses the letter Shin to help signify the 3 Sephiroths. Also, the letter takes an important meaning for the middle letter of the word Jesus in Hebrew, or Yehoshua takes on the meaning of man without it. Thus, it is believed that Jews engage in such acts to their deity not only as an honorable way to attain their Jewish kingdom over the world, but also to prevent the second coming of Christ, who they believe would stop their earthly kingdom from occurring. According to Rozanov, there is even a name given by Hasidic Jews for the entire ritual murder process. They call it Echad. The Hebrew and Russian equivalent are shown here too. Bailis was freed because only 6 of the 12 jurors felt he was guilty, a simple majority being required. Too many witnesses were killed and much evidence had been destroyed prior to trial. Much like O.J. Simpson in the US, Beilis was allowed to walk unpunished. Later, he immigrated to the United States, where he lived out the rest of his life. Prosecuting attorney Gigi Zamoslovsky wrote a 520-page book about this, which was called The Murder of Andrei Yushinsky. But the Bolshevik Revolution occurred shortly thereafter. Jews participated in Zamoslovsky Kangaroo Court, which was the very first trial of the communist regime. Zamoslovsky was murdered for having revealed all the facts concerning this matter. His book was then classified until 1997 so that others might not know the truth of this terrible ordeal. At around the same time as the trial of Menachem Mendel Beilis was being given, Leo Frank was tried for the murder of a 12-year-old Gentile girl, Mary Fagan, in the United States. Frank was the chapter head of the Atlanta Jewish Society B'nai Brit, which is Hebrew for Brotherhood of the Covenant. Frank was found guilty of murdering the young Gentile girl. One writer described the child's innocent, lifeless body. She bled freely, not only from the wound in her head, but from other parts of her body. An objective view of this incident is thoroughly described in the more recent book, The Murder of Little Mary Fagan. Because it is impartial, Jews seem to be disturbed by it. Shortly after Fagan's murder, Jews formed the Anti-Defamation League of B'nai Brit, which has consistently sought to contain the incident. Jews now say that it was not a Jew who murdered Mary Fagan, but rather a black. We are expected to believe that a jury in the Deep South in the early 1900s would let a guilty black man who murdered an innocent white girl go free so that an innocent white Jew could be convicted of murdering a Gentile child in the most wicked ways imaginable. This, of course, is utter nonsense. After much haggling and money thrown at the matter, 73 years after the incident, Jews secured a pardon of Frank. Frank was not pardoned because of his innocence, as Jews would have some believe. In fact, Jews had tried to appeal the conviction at the time, but Frank was repeatedly shown to be guilty. Later, the governor, on his way out, changed Frank's sentence, who was to be punished by death by a court order, to a life sentence. A lynch mob took Frank from jail and hanged him. This is the reason why Frank was pardoned, because of the lynchers' mob doing justice's job, not because of Frank's imagined innocence. Someone supposedly remembered what happened 70 years after the incident, but this contrived memory was probably more based on the individual's inability to purchase a pacemaker to continue living and his Jewish beneficiaries wanting to vindicate their deceased co-religionist. In 1919, a Gentile accused Jews of ritually murdering his child in Chicago. It is not certain whether this event was truly a ritual murder or merely a baseless accusation. In some cases, though certainly not all, Jews are unfairly accused of ritually murdering children. For example, this occurred in 1928 in Messina, New York, when some townspeople accused Jews of ritually murdering a child who was in fact merely lost in the woods, according to Jewish writers. People should not jump to conclusions in such matters. Rather, criminal investigators should look into these matters and take whatever legal action is necessary to prevent these iniquitous crimes from occurring, and should also see to it that innocent Jews are not maligned. In 1935, and the Russian paper Nash Put of Harbin on 7th of October reported a case in Afghanistan where a Mohammedan child was robbed and riddled with stabs by Jews, the court verdict being that this was done for ritual purposes. Most people who have investigated these matters were distinguished individuals. Dr. Dahl, who was mentioned earlier, was a well-respected linguist and author of Russian's Living Dictionary, roughly the equivalent of Webster's Dictionary for the United States. Many such well-respected people as Dr. Dahl have said that Jewish ritual murder is true. For instance, Increase Mather, an early administrator of Harvard University, once said, "Jews have been wont once a year to steal Christian children and to put them to death by crucifying out of scorn and hatred." Attorney Thomas E. Watson publicly promulgated that occult murders among Jews was common. In 1896, when he ran as third-party vice president candidate, his party received over 1 million votes. Later, in 1920, he was elected to the United States Senate. Many others have previously been mentioned. Many Jews who became proselyte Christians in the past have written about these murders as well. For instance, Michael, the Grand Rabbi of Lithuania, who converted to Christianity, described many of these hateful acts perpetrated by Jews. In Dr. Dahl's book, we see many Jewish converts who admitted to the truth of this matter. On the 16th of April, 1989, an interesting article appeared in the New York Times. While inconclusive, I'd like to read it to you. A long-lost skeleton in a synagogue cellar. A dark, or in any case bizarre chapter in the otherwise venerable history of the Eldridge Street Synagogue on the Lower East Side was reopened yesterday when a long-lost skull rolled out from a coal ash pile and struck the foot of a workman. Soon, an entire skeleton was in view. After inspection by a medical examiner, the bones were taken to the 5th Precinct Station House. The official word from the police was that they could not identify the body or determine its sex. It had apparently been in the cellar more than 30 years. The unofficial word, according to Betty Sandler, administrative director of the Eldridge Street Project, was that it might be a young girl in her late teens or early 20s, which would make for an unsavory story. Workers are excavating the cellar of the 102-year-old synagogue between Canal and Division Streets in the first phase of its restoration. Not the faintest rumor or oldest lore explains the skeleton, Judge Paul P.E. Buxton of Civil Court, who has worshipped at the synagogue for 3 decades, said he had absolutely no information, no inkling as to who it might be or how it came to be there. Now, think about this. How could a child's skeleton just be found in a coal pile in a Jewish synagogue's basement? If the corpse was that of a Jewish child, being that Jewish communities are usually pretty tightly knit, it seems likely that someone at the synagogue would have known who was killed. But they had absolutely no information, no inkling about whose corpse was discovered. So it stands to reason that it was not a Jew. So why would the skeleton of a Gentile be discovered in a synagogue's basement? This is a valid question, and it certainly deserves a valid response. But it seems that those who were investigating the matter simply dismissed it for reasons that only they will know. Also, why did it say that the investigators could not determine its sex for certain? This would be a relatively simple task for a medical examiner. Yet it seems that even this was not given proper attention. Now, one cannot say that with any certainty that the remains were that of a child who was ritually murdered, but it does seem like a matter that still needs proper attention by police investigators. Merely a month later, something else interesting occurred in 1989.
On May the 1st, 1989, viewers of the Oprah Winfrey Show, a very famous television program, were in for quite a surprise. Oprah interviewed a young Jewish girl named Rachel, who testified on the program that her family had for several generations engaged in the practice of ritual murder.
On the show, Dr. Rome cites, Oprah asked the woman, "This is the first time I've heard of any Jewish people sacrificing babies. But anyway, so you witnessed the sacrifice?" Rachel responded, "Right. When I was young, I was forced to participate in that, in which I had to sacrifice an infant." When Oprah Winfrey asked if other Jews had engaged in such practices, Rachel responded, "There's other Jewish families across the country. It's not just my family." Rachel then proceeded to mention other relatives, doctors, policemen, council members, and so forth, who had also reportedly engaged in this cult activity. A year later, in 1990, Rachel again bravely stepped forward and admitted that this terrible deed had occurred, as noted in the March 1990 issue of Cult Watch Response. Recently, I had enough courage to share some of my story. I revealed that I am a Jewish survivor of a multi-generational family who practiced human sacrifice and cannibalism. It seems likely that if the transgenerational Jewish ritual murder cult has survived, that such actions would most likely occur in Israel, where many fanatical Jews reside. A few years later, in 1995, some Gentile children from Romania were found being reportedly kidnapped and exported to Israel. Israeli citizen Mahmoud Asadi was arrested for this. He was at one time former Israeli Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin's personal secretary, according to the World Jewish Congress. Certainly, he would not have been acting alone in this matter, as it would be something that would require many people to do. Why would he be in Romania procuring Gentile children? Some have suggested that the children were to be used in occult rites by Jews. Again, this is a question that deserves our utmost attention. Reporter Adel Hamoud, writing in the major Egyptian newspaper Al-Ahram of October 28, 2000, said that young Palestinian children have been repeatedly found around Israel with their blood drained. He reported these startling findings in a full-page article called "Jews Make Matzahs from the Arabs' Blood." Jews in Israel regularly demonstrate that they possess this ancient hatred. Recently, Israeli planes dropped bombs on a school for the blind in Palestine, and some Jewish extremists put a bomb on a school children's playground. Certainly, Jewish fanatics who commit such cruel acts are capable of ritually murdering children in Palestine as well. Romania, Germany, Italy, Poland, United States, Egypt, Syria, Portugal, Jordan, France, Russia, Austria, Spain. Nearly every civilization in the entire world has reported the crime of Jewish ritual murders. Has the entire world been involved in a massive conspiracy against Jews? Or have some fanatical Jews been engaged in a conspiracy against all non-Jews? Quite frankly, it seems to be the latter. Some Jews say the Jews are completely innocent. For instance, Jewish scholar Richard Pochia writes in his book, The Myth of Ritual Murder, the Jews never use any blood, even that of an animal. On page 8, however, contradicting himself, on the very next page he says, in medieval and early modern times, among Oriental Jews, the blood of circumcision was used for writing the Tetragrammaton on talismans. On that same page, Po Chia also noticed that the rabbi's responsa said to use dried goat's blood as a general medicine. This certainly makes it seem as if there was some relationship to occultism in the past. There does seem to be an ancient relationship between Jews and occultism in the past up to this very day. As surprising as it may be, the founder of modern-day Satanism, Anton LaVey, is Jewish. Also, Lord Egan, who is a leader of satanic cult, is also Jewish. If you look at the satanic pentagram with the demon Baphomet in the center, an imaginary demon from ancient times, you'll see Hebrew characters that surround it as well. In the current video, Faces of Death, you'll see an interracial cult, which appears to be led by a Jew, cut up a corpse and then have an orgy in its blood. Such sickness defies belief. Dr. Vladimir Dal, who we mentioned earlier, was asked to write his book, Notes About the Ritual Murders, for the Russian government. And he mentioned many of the sick occult rites of the ritual murders of the past. Dahl was able to find out quite a lot about these acts. While his book was written long ago, there are still many relevant points that are still applicable today. He describes these terrible acts by hate-mongering Jews and the typical Jewish response. It was not just one group of people who have accused Jews of committing such deplorable acts. Jews were accused many times of that in courts by a variety of people. On the whole, it was not only their own confession in addition to other evidence, but there were such examples where the Jews were exposed and consequently had recognized themselves as being true. Just one such event should obviously be enough for people to acknowledge the real existence of such villainous human mutilation. But the defenders of Jews say something quite different. The confessions were forced by torture and therefore proves nothing. Assuming, however, this argument is true too, and believing all that was ever said and written on this problem in favor of Jews with respect to forced confessions, there is still one circumstance that will remain, which has never paid enough attention. This circumstance not only remains as unexplained by Jews, but also is the proof of the crime itself. Namely, it is not doubtful that from time to time the corpses of babies who were missing were eventually discovered in such distorted conditions and with such signs of external violence that they attested to images of excruciatingly painful deaths. This is the kind of murder for which the Jews are accused. Also, the incidents of this nature exclusively occurred only in places where the Jews live. We must ask ourselves, in what type of circumstance can we attribute the renewed cases of babies who suffered painful deaths, babies who were carefully tortured up to the point of their tragic deaths, if an accusation is not fair? What reason can we invent for the villainous torture of a baby if it is not done for religious mutilation? The external signs on corpses indicate each time this is discovered positively that the death could not be accidental in any case, but intentional. It is obvious that these injuries sustained by the babies are deliberately done and take place over a long time. The whole body is poked or pricked. Then scraps of skin are cut. The tongue was often cut out. The intimate parts of boys are either cut out or the boys were circumcised. Signs of bruises from tight bandages put on and removed again are not uncommon. Often the entire skin has abrasions, as if it was burnt or had something rubbing against it. Sometimes the corpse was even washed, with it being discovered without any blood on it. Nor was there any blood on the undergarments or clothes, demonstrating that they were taken off during the murder and afterwards put on again. The parents and siblings of babies who have experienced such tragic deaths wonder, for what possible reason would people commit such deplorable acts to innocent babies? Without a purpose, it could never be done. And it continues to happen repeatedly over time. The ordinary killer in any case would be satisfied with one murder, but a murderer who kills for some type of mysterious, important purpose cannot be ignored here. The weak, unsatisfactory searching of investigators, the different tricks of Jews, their impudent and stubborn denials, not infrequently bribery, the confidence by the majority of educated people in that an accusation is merely infamous slander, and finally, the humanity of our criminal laws. All these things saved the Jewish culprits nearly every time from deserved execution. And they, by using their machinations, by giving false oath assurances of innocence, and by using false propaganda that suggested such accusations were merely the result of accomplished injustice with slander built on them, almost always were well prepared for such accusations. The Jews punished those who demonstrated credible evidence against them. You might ask when these fanatical Jews are said to have engaged in such wicked behavior. Typically, these Jewish sacrificial events usually occurred around the time of the Jewish holiday of Passover, which has an underlying message of deeply imbued pathological hatred towards Gentiles. Similar claims have been made around Hanukkah, a Jewish militant holiday. Purim is also another Jewish holiday on which Gentile children are said to disappear, only to be found later mutilated. Purim celebrates when, in history, Jews were able to murder a noble Gentile. Haman, his wife, his children, and also murdered thousands of other Gentiles who sought to put an end to wicked acts perpetrated by Jews who were criminals. This might be viewed as similar to what occurred to the good Tsar of Russia, his wife, his son who was sick, his daughters and all the other relatives, not to mention over 40 million other Russians. Of course, Jews now vehemently deny having anything to do with this, but the records speak for themselves. It seems to follow the ancient lines of this Purim, a festival that is commonly associated with ritual murders by Jewish fanatics in the past. Passover is celebrated amongst Jews when angels supposedly came through a city in ancient times and murdered all non-Jews who didn't have an X written in blood on their homes. In all actuality, it seems likely that the wholesale slaughter of Gentiles in the village was perpetrated by a band of Jewish cutthroats at night rather than angels. Many ritual murders also reportedly occurred around the time of Passover. There is a question which remains to be asked. If what I have said so far about Jewish occult murder having occurred around the globe is true, why don't we hear more about these crimes? Well, that is a fair question. The truth of the matter might also surprise some here today. Jews control the media for the most part. Jews say that such talk is merely hateful anti-Semitism, but it is not. Rather, it is a fact with which we must deal. As early as 1916, we see well-respected Thomas Burbage write that by means of the press the Jews control and their great wealth, Jews are able to stifle any impartial investigation into ritual murder. One need only to search the internet to find the validity that Jews, for the most part, do control the press, and television, and radio too, for that matter. As noted previously, Jews try to suppress any talk about Jewish ritual murder. This includes even other Jewish news sources that mention this, and even when it might be only a vague reference. For example, in 1996, Newsweek merely used the term blood libel in an article. The article was called "A New Kind of Blood Libel." It was not about Jews committing ritual murders, but about Israelis mishandling black Jews' blood. On February the 12th, 1996, B'nai Brit President Tommy Bauer wrote Newsweek a scathing letter which said, "I trust that you will issue an explanation and an apology for this gross error of judgment. Even in foreign nations, Jews try to control what people write. The Zionist Organization of America pressured the Egyptians to retract the aforementioned article about a reported Jewish ritual murder that had reportedly occurred and was mentioned in the newspaper Al-Haram, lest America purportedly refrain from giving the Egyptians any aid. The Zionist Organization of America, President Morton A. Klein wrote, "We urge Congress to refrain from considering the Clinton administration's proposal for $225 million in extra aid to Egypt until the Mubarak government publicly apologizes and repudiates the blood libel article and replaces the editor responsible for its publication." Jews reportedly even had what is called a slush fund to defend themselves in court and such. Dr. De Vere's book writes about this. Alilat Seka, a slush fund in today's terms, provided bribe money and expenses to combat blood accusations. Dr. Rome then proves this by citing Jewish author Leon Polyakov's book, The History of Anti-Semitism. The disappearance of a Gentile child had to be redeemed by Jewish blood, or at least by Jewish money, which sometimes permitted the matter to be dropped. The secret fund, the Alilat Seka, the Fund for Bloody Calumnies, set up by the Council of the Four Nations, served chiefly for this purpose. Another way that Jews tried to stifle debate on this topic is through psychological barriers. Jews do this by exaggerating events of World War II Germany and trying to keep such thoughts fresh in our minds. At the same time, Jews tried to avoid talk of the Bolshevik Revolution, which Jews were overwhelmingly dominant and which resulted in the murder of over 40 million Gentile Russians. In a sense, this was the greatest number of Jewish ritual murders to occur en masse. Even if the hateful acts were not performed in the Jewish traditional manner, since it was an act based on Jewish contempt, superiority, and utilized their semantic mind games that they have employed for countless generations. An example of these psychological games that Jews play can be seen in many respected Jewish works. For example, Jewish author Gavin Langmuir writes in his book, Towards a Definition of Anti-Semitism, Not only are Jews good in their eyes, but they are now seen as no worse than, or as good as, anyone else in the West. Consequently, anti-Semitism is now understood as a highly pejorative term both by Jews and many non-Jews, which is what makes the charge of anti-Semitism, loosely defined, so useful a weapon in political discourse. So long as memories of the final solution remain vivid, the use of that special term of dark origin implies that there is something unusually and uniquely evil about any serious hostility towards all Jews. As you noticed, he said that this term of anti-Semitism is useful as a weapon in political discourse. Hence, it seems he is suggesting that Jews use a psychological guilt trip on anyone who disagrees with them, which is what happens in politics. This is one of the reasons that people should not waste time refuting ignorant Jewish arguments when Jews apply the term anti-Semite. Anyone who tells the truth in relation to the reprehensible acts committed by Jews will be labeled as such. The fact that Jews play such insipid little games should simply be accepted and merely ignored. Responding to such claims with a whatever, rather than fall into their dull mind games and wasting time refuting their lies with the obvious truth that contradicts their claims. Truth is anti-Semitic according to Jews, if they do not like the way it reflects on them. And what is the truth? There are many such works that spell out all the nefarious details of these wicked crimes. Jewish Ritual Murder by Dr. Arnold Lees. And there is another book by the same name, Jewish Ritual Murder by Dr. Helmut Schramm, which also describes this and has recently been translated into English and is available on a CD. There is a booklet by Dr. Harold Rome called Debacle in Damascus. Well-respected writer Michael Hoffman wrote about this in one of his newsletters. Dr. Ed Fields dedicated an older issue of his newspaper about this. Dr. James Warner has reproduced an older German newspaper about this. Dr. A. Jessop's translation of The Life of Sir William of Norwich is an interesting book. Dr. William Sharp also wrote about the murder of William in an article that appeared in the New York State Journal of Medicine of the 1st of November, 1971. Dr. Mustafa Talas's book, The Matzah of Zion, tells about the ritual murder of Father Thomas. Dr. Philip de Vere has written recently a book called Blood Ritual. There is another videotape, if you can find it, which shows numerous rare pictures, woodcuts, and drawings of Jewish ritual murders called Human Sacrifice Among the Fanatical Hasidic Jews from the Ancient Times to the Present. Russian prosecutor and Duma member G.G. Samoslovsky wrote an excellent 500 or more page book that told all the details of one case in which a jury determined there had been a Jewish ritual murder. Dr. Vladimir Dal's book is also an excellent resource, and much of which contained in this video was derived from his excellent resource. There are many other writers, from popes to attorneys to numerous other doctors and researchers, who attest to the validity of Jewish ritual murder accusations. You might wonder, how often do ritual murders occur? This is a question that cannot honestly be answered, because no such tabs are kept. Such actions must certainly be kept secretive amongst Jewish occults, lest people put an end to their despicable activities. Obviously, since the FBI is indoctrinated by the Jewish Anti-Defamation League at the Holocaust Museum, they will not dare to question their masters. It is doubtful that law enforcement even bothered to determine why non-Jewish construction workers in a synagogue basement in 1989 discovered a child's skeleton. How many victims are not properly investigated because Jews are believed incapable of such wicked acts? There are some alarming facts that are known. According to the FBI, in the year 2000, 876,213 people went missing. Now, not all of them were children, but quite a few were, 750,000. Of that figure, around half of them, 354,000 to be precise, were abducted by other members of their family. This still leaves quite a number, 400,000 children, the equivalent of over 1,000 children per day, go missing. Of course, it seems likely that many may have run away from their homes and others may be abandoned. But what happened to the others? Some of these children are kidnapped and never seen again. This occurs to at least several thousand a year. And what happens to them? Are they abducted by predators? Please keep a close eye on your children. In particular, watch out for the events of Passover, Purim, and Hanukkah. Do not let your children wander far away, particularly in areas visited by Jews during their Jewish holidays.